Alright. It's time for Bob. Hope you die to gravity. That is a very likely cause of death. Alright. Always night. It's just, it's so cool. The only thing I don't like is the pants. And it actually takes a really long time to replace the pants. I like to replace them with the Elite Knight legs. And if you don't want to kill Henri, that it takes so long to unlock those. It's actually the worst. Alright. I think we good. Not Dark Souls 2. Thank God. I have not played this in a while. I'm kind of excited. We've had so much Elden Ring lately. It'll be interesting to see how this feels now. Feels a bit lighter. Like, feel a little bit quicker there. Like, look at that shit. I need to turn this up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's actually crazy how much this feels significantly more responsive than Elden Ring. It feels kind of like, oh my god. Oh no, we have Elden Ring brain. I'm trying to two-hand in one hand by clicking Y and then the R1, and I tried to pick this up by clicking Y instead of A. Oh god. I just tried to sprint like how you sprint in Night Rain by clicking the stick, which is how... Wait, why isn't that how you sprint in this game? Because in Elden Ring, it's at least the crouch button. It doesn't do anything in this game. Why did... Bro, you don't understand. Like, after all these games, at this point, they've made Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 2, right? And they're not even using the stick for anything. Oh god, you're right, it's jump. That's not worth it! First off, that's the worst jump I've ever seen in my life. But how... Bro, this little shit, that is not worth giving up the ability to just sprint by clicking a button. Oh my god. Oh, hi. Okay. Oh yeah, R2s are bad in this game. Oh, that sucks. I mean, occasionally they have uses, but like their poise damage to speed ratio is worse than an R1. No guard counters. None of that nonsense. Whoop. We'll fight the crystal lizard. Get out of here. Don't want to use that on accident. Any other baddies in here? God, that jump. What? Just... Oh, man. Nope, that's not how you two-hand. There you go. That's how you two-hand. Oh, this is going to be a problem. And then I'll go back to Elden Ring, and it'll just... Oh, it's going to be a mess. Look at this awesome helmet, though. Fuck. Alright, big guy. Lock on. Jesus. We getting it. I do appreciate in Elden Ring having the little indicator let you know that a riposte is available. Wow. I did it! Good start. I am lucky to have made the decision to switch jump and interact in Elden Ring. Makes it much easier to go back to the older games. Oh wait, did you like switch it around? Like the controls? I wonder if I could do the reverse of that. There's really no way to mimic the way two-handing is done. But yeah, it is an issue. Quite the vista. So Dark Souls 2 and 3 are in some ways artistically bankrupt in that they were never intended to be made, right, in terms of the story and everything. And I think that affects Dark Souls 2 the most. But I honestly love the narrative of Dark Souls 3 because Miyazaki made it about the fact that, like, elongating something and making something keep going when it's not supposed to, which is like a metaphor for Dark Souls, how it wasn't supposed to have Dark Souls 2 and 3. I honestly think that whole narrative is just amazing. And I think it was pulled off so well in this game. And like a lot of the in-universe examples that they use and how they illustrate that point works very well within, its own, regardless of like the meta narrative, right? It works well on its own. And so yeah, I honestly love the story and setting of Dark Souls 3. Even though the whole point of it is basically saying this shouldn't exist. We haven't taken damage yet, but give it a minute. Close! Almost got me. That was Canis GG right there, trying to pull a fast one on me. One second, I can't really read chat with like I would have done chip damage to me if he hit me on the shield. Well, the other games I wouldn't say just have things pop out of the ground like shrooms. It's kind of the whole point is, right, it's only supposed to be Dark Souls 1. Right? That's the thing. That in truth, Miyazaki never intended to make sequels. He didn't want to make sequels. That's why Dark Souls 1 really isn't open to having sequels. When you really look at the narrative, especially when you understand all the under the hood stuff that is going on in the lore, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So like the point of Dark Souls 3 especially, and to a lesser degree 2, but very much 3, is the fact that it is like artificial, right? The world is like that's the whole artistic direction of this whole game. Is this whole world is like a painting that's been refurbished too many times, right? That's like the thing. It's like this is being artificially forced to keep repeating over and over and over again. So it's not like the strong stuff just pops out of the ground. You have like the souls of these great ones are still, being recycled and are still empowering things, and it's still about Gwen and Nito and all of them, right? Like that's still what's going on. They're not just like popping out like shrooms. It's just those are the fundamental forces of the Age of Fire, which is being elongated, right? And like so I agree, these the 2 and 3 shouldn't exist, right? I'm with Miyazaki on that, but the fact that they do exist and what Miyazaki did with that, I think, is awesome. Not nearly as awesome in 2. All right, I got this shit. Wait, can you have fire bombs here? Wait a minute. Did I pick them up? Yes. Okay. Totally know how to play this game. Hasn't been years or anything. Might as well do this. Curious how this guy is going to compare to a Tree Sentinel. Probably easier, especially because the first time you do it, you can gank him like this. You can just beat the shit out of him. Look at this fair telegraphing on the enemy attacks. Holy shit. Oof. Okay, that attack is a little harder to read just because of the size. Okay, so this phase 2 there is only kind of hard, and I don't think it's even intentional because you can't really see. like the animations actually seem pretty like fine, but like it's so obscured that it's actually kind of hard to time what the hell you're doing. That doesn't seem that intentional. God, that music is amazing though. Probably my favorite tutorial boss. I'm not sure. He's up there. Like the atmosphere is pretty sick. I will say though that phase 2 I'm a little iffy on here just because the visuals are poor. I will say, knowing how Dark Souls 3 is and like the bosses you face, this is an extremely good boss for like showing you what you need to be doing. Like watching their moves and attacking and kind of like weaving, you know, your attacks in between theirs and shit. Like this is kind of a very... This is like, this is the heart of what you do in Dark Souls 3, right? Yeah, my only beef here is like in the second phase, it is so hard to tell what he's doing because he's so big. Yeah, I can't rate it that high just because that second phase is just like, LOL, you can't see anything. But like, I've watched a lot of streamers and newbies and stuff fight this boss. It does do a good job of getting them to not suck. Like, because if you're mashing like you're playing God of War or something, you're gonna die on that boss over and over and over and over and over and over and over. He does a good job of like not being too hard, but like really showing you what you're supposed to do, like how the game is meant to be played. So that's exactly what a tutorial boss should be. Grafted Science sucks as a tutorial boss. Even as, you know, the only one shot at it, he's not well made. It's so boring the way you have to fight him. Terrible. I would say the real tutorial boss of Elden Ring though is Tree Sentinel. I would say absolutely. I don't know why people act like Tree Sentinel, like you overwhelmingly see people try to describe Tree Sentinel as he's there to be too strong, so you can't a player couldn't reasonably beat him. And I just so disagree with that. Like if Elden Ring is your first game, you are not one-shotting Tree Sentinel. That is not happening. But you wouldn't be one-shotting Udik Skundir either, generally speaking, right? And having watched a lot of people play these games for the first time, I've seen that, right? And so when people get stuck on Udik Skundir, they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again, and then they start to learn. I think Tree Sentinel is actually kind of a problem in that he's not that much harder. I think he is a bit harder than Udik Skundir there, but I don't think he's that much harder. The problem is, I've seen many players when facing Udik Skundir, and even Asylum Demon, where they're really struggling, right? They're having a hard time grasping the game. You little shit! They're having a hard time grasping the game, and with Tree Sentinel, they will run away, right? Because when the same type of player is stuck in Udik Skundir, they want to run away. They want to not have to beat him. They're like, this is so annoying, right? But the fact that they can't and they have to stick with it, they get a good, right? It kind of forces them to get better at the game. Where Tree Sentinel, and I get it, Elden Ring's an open world game, more freedom, blah, 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 that's fine. But I do think there needs to be a boss that kind of like forces you into learning what the hell you're doing first real quick, right? And I think Tree Sentinel really fails at that. And obviously the Grafted Scion fails at that. So Elden Ring doesn't have that. And I think that's part of why you have all these people that are just horrible at Elden Ring when you invade, and people that don't level vigor and crap like that. Because it's just so easy to run away from your problems and not even realize what you're doing wrong. But like Dark Souls 3, if you're doing it wrong, the game will beat your ass until you do it right. And some people don't like that, but I actually think that is a better way of doing it. Soldier of Godric is right there. Yeah, the problem with Soldier of Godric is you can mash the R1 button and kill him. He kind of teaches you nothing. Although, funnily enough, I don't know how it is now, but every time I've done the tutorial in Elden Ring, we'll do it in the Tarnished Edition, chat, we'll play the tutorial. Every time, though, I've gone there, there were blood stains everywhere. Like, just so many blood stains by Soldier of Godric. So, something ain't right. And I think Asylum Demon is a pretty good tutorial boss if Dark Souls is your first Souls game, right? If you've played Demon Souls, then even it's okay. But if you've played Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, or any of that, then I don't think Asylum Demon really holds up. But if you're like, I've never played these games before, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't know what iframes are, and that kind of thing, he's a great tutorial boss. God damn it. People are bad at games, will die to the controls. I mean, to be fair, love Souls games, but their controls aren't exactly, peak. I will never be able to figure out, unless I can ask Miyazaki, if this is intentional. A lot of people say it's not, but I'm not so sure, because it's lined, this tree is so, like, sus in how it's lined up, and then they're so specific in what this gives you access to, right? Doing this little shortcut does not give you access to, you know, a lot of the stuff that when you buy the key later will, right? It's like a very balanced thing that you can do. Now, that could be a coincidence. That could absolutely be a coincidence, but that tree is very suspiciously placed. DS2 just controls like ass, no matter what you do. I don't know what they were thinking with that game's, like, physics. I cannot even imagine trying to get into these games on keyboard and mouse. Vandictus plays great on keyboard and mouse, and your character has more functionality in those games than in the Souls games, so they're fucking up, man. I just took so much fall damage from I mean, to be fair, in real life, that would suck. That's a far enough drop in real life that would suck. But if you're very athletic, it'd be all right. But, like, holy hell. Is this gonna do fall damage? Okay, no. That was probably right on the edge, though. Oh, we gotta fight the katana guy. Can I get a battle axe? Gotta fight the, you know, long sword versus katana is the famous thing, but I don't give a fuck about that. I want axe versus katana. Okay, we'll just, like, get the battle axe from the high wall, and then we won't level up much, so I'm not gonna cheese them or anything. Did I get a shard up there? Okay. I do love the Ring at City DLC. Big fan. Been a long time since I've played it, so. Okay, I think we're ready. Is there anything else out here that I haven't done? Did I get the Ember? Yes? Okay. Go get that axe, then we'll fight the katana guy. But all the NPC stories in Dark Souls 3 and I love it. Like, I really do love it. Now, I will say, I do think Dark Souls 1, if you consider it a self-contained thing and Dark Souls 2 and 3 aren't real, because they are tacked on, let's just be honest, you know, they absolutely are tacked on. But if you take Dark Souls 1 as just, it's the only game in the city, it really is beautiful, right? Like, it's an amazing game. The endings are great. You know, it's really something special. And I think Dark Souls 1 is kind of just untouchable in that respect, but I really do love what Dark Souls 3 is. Okay, let's see how this game holds up these days. Kind of excited to fight a Lothric Knight. Although they use Lothric Knights in Elden Ring as, like, the typical soldier guys. They're adjusted for sure, but boy, that guy came in swinging. 2 is especially egregious because like it's just pointless. Like the actual story is not really connected. Oh fuck, I forgot. If you kill that guy when he transforms, you get loot. Can I let him respawn? I don't even remember what you get. I just remember that's a thing. Let me see here. But like Miyazaki wasn't involved in 2, and it's just like this bullshit country you've never even heard of that has nothing to do with anything. You go through that portal at the start of the game that's never explained. It's like they themselves didn't want to be like committing to like what it actually meant to Dark Souls 1 because they weren't really sure if like it would go over well. And you know, Miyazaki wasn't the head of the company yet, and I don't think they wanted to step on his toes regardless though. So like it's so uncommittal to anything. Like Drang Lake is just some random place that, you know, you go through a portal to get to, and it's like, well, what the fuck does any of this mean? And the answer is basically nothing. Where 3, you know, Miyazaki was still at the helm of it, and I think he wasn't, even though he didn't want to make the sequels, I don't think Miyazaki was like unhappy to make this game. I think he put his heart into it. It's just he made it about the fact that there wasn't supposed to be sequels, right? Like that's just what he did. But I think he put a lot of fucking effort into it, and I think it's great. I think the NPCs are great. The only thing I don't really like about Dark Souls 3 is because it's like a modified Bloodborne engine. You can tell, right? Like you can tell it's modified Bloodborne, and it feels a little off because of that. And it doesn't really feel as like dark, because as much as I don't really like Dark Souls 2, the aesthetic and everything is still very Dark Souls. It's like, yeah, I can believe this is in the Dark Souls universe. Where Dark Souls 3 at times is kind of like, this is just Bloodborne. Like, this isn't really... and some of that you can excuse or like explain with the fact that it's the whole degradation of the world being, you know, regenerated 10 billion times, and it's not really like what it used to be. And but still, like the identity in the color palette and everything of Dark Souls 1 and 2 is quite nice. So then 3 is just like, I'm gonna be Bloodborne now. Okay, don't kill the guy until he wakes up. Oh, he tanky. Sometimes they just don't give a fuck about the fire. So, chat, this, if you wanted to just have good enemy variety and whatnot, this is an enemy you could put into Elden Ring and it would age fine. Just make sure you give it enough health. But, like, his hitboxes are large enough and fast enough that that enemy could hold its own in Elden Ring. Oh yeah, Dark Souls 2 has good things about it. Like, the world design is garbage, but the level design is good in terms of aesthetic. Right? Like the way the zones connect to each other, garbage. The way the zones look on their own in a vacuum, very nice. Lots of awesome looking zones in Dark Souls 2, and there's some cool enemies, like you said, like Balstot and stuff. There's some good music, like Smelter Demon's theme and things like that. Or Covenant of Champions is a great idea, although implemented pretty terribly. You know, there's plenty there that are like, oh, this is pretty sick. Bonfire aesthetics, great. Why the fuck aren't they in Elden Ring? And Dark Souls 3? Like, holy fuck, I wish those were in Dark Souls 3. Be fighting Medea right the hell now if they were. Oh, fuck. I wasn't supposed to let them do that. Oh, incoming. Boy, this is a hollow slaughter out here. I mean, all the games have their fans, for sure. I think Dark Souls 2 is... It's the most divisive in the series, where it's like, yeah, there's people that like it, but there's more people that hate it than any other in the series, and there's a reason for that. If you like it regardless, that's fine. I just don't think it's... There are Dark Souls 2 defenders that I just think are very, like, unreasonable. It's, like, totally fine that you like it or it's your favorite, no problem, but, like, they try to act like... It's like the player base is just really biased and decided to team up on Dark Souls 2 and just randomly make it the black sheep of the family. Like there's not a reason, right? Like for some reason we're okay with Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, but not Dark Souls 2. It's like, no, there's a fucking reason, and it's pretty obvious. Because it's just like, I'm not like, oh my god, people are faking it that they like Dark Souls 2. No, I get it. You know, I get that people like it, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I think it's just not. You're being very biased if you can't like see the problems in Dark Souls 2, even if they're not a big deal to you personally, right? It should be very obvious to see why it's the least liked game in the series overall. I liked Dark Souls 2 until I played it again recently. I hadn't played it in a long time, and I was like, yeah, I still like it. It's just not as good as the other ones. And then I played it again recently and was like really analyzing it. I'm like, wow, this game is garbage. I mean, all the animations are so sloppy. The core movement is terrible. Like, it's just bad. Like, you fight these enemies for like the first 5 hours of the game that are all just so pathetic and lame and just boring. It's just like Dragon Rider, like, please, just terrible movesets. Now the DLC, the second one in particular, I think is good, right? Yeah, fucking adaptability, holy shit. Because I just, to me, I cannot, and I think this is such valid criticism that I think it goes beyond like being subjective, right? It's like this is an objective criticism for the most part. I mean, all things are subjective to a degree, but I think even if you like the game, I think ignoring these points is just disingenuous, right? Adaptability is awful. It's a fundamental, huge fucking flaw of the game. The movement, same thing. The movement is terrible, and I think it's a fundamental flaw of the game. You know, and like ignoring that, I just don't think is like fair, right? And you see people act like, oh, it's no big deal. It's like, yes, it's a big fucking deal. Like, I love Ninja Gaiden Black, right? Love that game so much, but the camera is really bad. It's worse than most cameras in third-person games. And I see people defend bad cameras with like, you know, it's a skill to learn how to use the camera correctly, and that's true to an extent. But that doesn't excuse the fact that some cameras are just badly designed. Okay, like these are not mutually exclusive. Fuck. Fuck. There's no jump. That's Claymore right there. But yeah, having a dodge not be reliable and having your leveling, right? Like the RPG side of it affect the skill part of the dodging and stuff, and it's never been like that. That was just terrible. Garbage decision. Everyone hated it. And also, really big thing is when you leveled adaptability a lot, like a lot, your dodge became too good. So it was just stupid, like bad all around. Also, this fucking dragon. Whoops. Good old club. Okay, I think that axe we're looking for is in here. Let me get the bonfire though. I'm not, chat, I'm being a coward. I'm not 100% confident that I'm going to kill a mimic first try, so yeah, I think I will, but okay, I will say that is way too easy to backstab. Like, I'm gonna kill him before he gets to really do his moveset. I tell you what though, I have seen people get stuck on this guy for ages, right? Like they'll finally get past Gundyr, and then this guy will just tear them apart. I've seen that several times. The issue is that stab. That, I mean, I guess it's supposed to be a weakness for you to exploit. That one stab really does make it easy. Ooh, okay. But it makes it easy to get damage in on that guy. Yeah, he's good to farm. If you want to get into PvP early into this game, which I don't really recommend anymore because everyone's a cheater, but farming this set is really good to like fend off twinks that'll invade you. That armor set really helps. You get like that, like the Illithil straight sword, or you make a raw straight sword, like this thing, you make it raw or something like that. Or a Stora's straight sword, like that can be good. Hate Knights are pretty wild. I think Hate Knights kind of suck though. They're like a good example of why Dark Souls 2 is bad. Because some of their moves are fine and cool, but they have several attacks. They have one where like they do a slash in the reverse order of this, right? They like the second swing here, like that going that way. They do it first. So they swing like outwards and then inwards. And that first swing comes out in like a frame, right? So you're just sitting there ready to fight the guy, and then just boom, right? You take damage before like the animation even plays, right? You just get hit, and it's just like the fuck. And like Dark Souls 2 does that a lot, where like a hitbox comes out way too quickly, and it doesn't really match the animation. And even if it does match the animation is just so fast. Like, it's like faster than Elden Ring bullshit. And it's just like, what the fuck? And Hate Knights are just horrible about that, and it's just kind of silly. It's like the wrong kind of difficulty. My lock-on doesn't work the way it does in Elden Ring. I just tried to two-hand my sword the wrong way. Look at him hyper-armoring through my shit. Hyper-armor through his shit. Yeah, I don't even remember if that's good. I think it is, but it's heavy as fuck. Yeah, wow, that is a really good shield. Okay, I'm not gonna farm this guy a lot, but you know, if I could get maybe the pants will look better than these pants. I don't know if they match that well. Their armor is cool though. The Hate Knights, pretty sick. This Knight set is really good. You just replace the pants with Elite Knight armor and off to the races. I really like Drake Blood gauntlets and pants with thorns, helmet, and chest. That's really good. And Drake Blood on its own. The whole Drake Blood set's really nice. Poise, what's that? Yeah, I know. It's so useless in 3. I mean, it's good when you use like a great sword or something, but where'd the knight go? Fuck. And shut up, dragon. At this point in the game, you already have enough souls to buy enough arrows to take that dragon out, actually. I clicked the A button trying to jump. Oh boy, I clicked the thing trying to two-hand. Oh boy, we're gonna have some issues. Not get grabbed. I miss mimics. Maybe they'll come back one day. I think they will. I think they're gonna go a few games without them to get lower our guards. Because the thing is, it'll work. That's the thing. Like, by the end of just Elden Ring, one game, because Miyazaki had said there weren't mimics, and because I hadn't seen any mimics for so much of the game, I didn't check. I didn't look at the designs of the chests anymore. I didn't pay attention at all. I didn't attack them anymore, right? And so, but I think Miyazaki's obviously lied many times, right? I hope to God that whenever they bring mimics back, he keeps lying that they're not in the game. Right? And like, because of false advertising, you have to kind of be sneaky about how you word it. But like, I hope he kind of just keeps people on the, oh yeah, we just, you know, once people know about them, they're not really, you know, they're not really worth anything anymore. And then there's fucking mimics just all of a sudden. And I'm telling you, this is what you do. This is I'm not memeing. Make mimic bonfires. So when people see the bonfire and they're like, oh, thank God, finally, they just run up to it and click the A button, then chomp. Right? And like, you make it so you can, if you look, you can tell, right? You make it where the bonfire doesn't look right, so you can figure it out if you're paying attention. But when you're like getting through the poison swamp and you're like, oh, it's a bonfire, yay, and then you get murdered. There was a mimic bonfire in DS1 in a mod I played. That's so amazing. Who hurt you? I know it is fucked up, but dude, you realize how memorable that would be? Like, I mean, the rage would be unreal, right? And like, I love mimics in Dark Souls 1 because you don't run into one for quite a while, right? And the one the one in Sin's Fortress lays in a spot that's not that close to a bonfire for most people. So what I would love to see is an Elden Ring 2 or Dragon Souls or whatever. You don't use a mimic bonfire until like halfway through the game, right? Maybe a third, but like, you know, a good chunk in, and you just put it after such a section that's like obviously is toxic and evil, right? And that's where you drop that bad boy. Be fucking amazing. You give people that false hope, right? The light at the end of the tunnel, then you yoink it away from them. Parry this, you fucking casual. If he had parried that would have been amazing. So, the unfortunate thing there is if you are close enough, right, for the shoulder bash and the charge, you can't parry it. But that my timing was as such that the shoulder bash missed, and he got to parry it. But he's still... Oh my god! Almost killed myself there. Motherfucker's just mashing R1. That is kind of how Dark Souls 3 is, though. Oh, come on. what are you doing? Get these guys out of here. Oh, where's my poise at? Where are you going? By the way, that's NPC cheating right there. If a player tried to fucking block a fully charged R2 Warcry battle axe with their fucking weapon, like a goddamn katana, you would get guard broken instantly. Like, that is absolutely not a thing. See you, Ziggy. God, getting parried there was pretty rough. Please never become the idea guy in any studio. And I have great ideas, dude. And look, you balance it out. You don't make the entire game like so toxic like that, right? If you continuously do that, you're just gonna frustrate players. But an occasional spike of that kind of thing, and you can be fair about it, right? You make it so the design of the bonfire is indeed different. And then when you come back and you kill the mimic, you make it drop something awesome. Right, something like, seriously, you make it drop an awesome armor set or a weapon or a really useful, like, you know, like a flask upgrade or whatever, right? You make it like, when you finally kill that fucker, then it just feels like extra good. Guy's armor set is a Night Rain. Hey, Rabbit. Well, it's a better moveset than an Elden Ring. God, that R2 is horrible, though. No wonder this weapon sucks. Good God, dude. That R2 is so slow. Look at this shit. And then you look at, like, Straight Sword. It's faster, and it's got, you know, way better reach. Get that piercing damage. Oh, man. The evil one. Fucking shadow tree fragments, dude. I hate that mechanic. At least they carry over into New Game Plus. So if there's like that one you can't find, you could just get it that way. Also, the DLC on New Game Plus, like, you do not want to have to do that shit at 0 fragments. So thankfully, you can just not do that. I tried to do a plunging attack. I guess it's R1 in this game. Because in Elden Ring, R2 is how you do the old school plunge, and R1 is the, like, regular jumping attack. I have so much Elden Ring brain. The hell? Can you figure a ladder out? I find that guy's animation's kind of hard to time, so blocking it is nice. Being a bitch. Well, that guy was brave. I get the reason why they made shadow fragments. I actually think they were a good idea. I think the way they were implemented is really bad, though. I think they're actually a great idea for the DLC, because you are going to have people do it at different levels, and you want people to have a meaningful upgrade. But, so, they should be tied to bosses, because for so many reasons. One, so it's not so tedious when you're replaying it and stuff. And also because it encourages you to go out there and kill bosses, and it makes it feel extra rewarding when you do kill a boss. Right? Because just finding a random Scadu tree fragment at a fucking Mikola rave light, you know, it means nothing, and then finding it off some hidden cliff drop or whatever, it's not, that doesn't feel like character progression, right? Where, man, I'm stuck on this boss, let me go get stronger, let me go kill other bosses, right? That feels way better. And then again, it's so much less tedious when you replay the game. Like every time I can't even imagine wanting like having to if I was like okay, I want to get all of them right for like collection purpose or because I'm low level and I want to make the have a better shot at the bosses or whatever. I having to find every single one of those would just be so tedious. And then even if you look it up online, you're gonna have to deal with like, okay, well, which is the which one am I missing, right? Like it's just shit. Don't want to deal with that at all. Or if it was just go out there and kill bosses, there's no big deal. Am I out of fire? Why am I doing a backstab animation? Hello? Well, that was a thing. I probably should have bought some fire bombs when I was in Firelink there. Also, using a dark weapon on this guy is probably not it. And this guy calm the fuck down. You know what, club? These guys are honestly the worst. I know I felt this way every time I played Dark Souls 3. This is one of the only enemies I don't like in the entire game. Because, like, you really just can't see what they're doing. You're not having those, like, meaningful decisions with when you're dodging and trying to figure out the enemy and all that. It's just LOL, flailing, can't see shit, take insane damage. They should be in Night Rain though. I actually feel like they wouldn't be annoying in Elden Ring. Because you're so much stronger in Elden Ring. Now, maybe if it was me, and they're not gonna do this because this requires too much money, but if you had unlimited resources, I would put them in Elden Ring, but I would adjust them a bit so their like pus side isn't so obscuring, so it's a bit clearer what the fuck they're doing. And what I would do is I would add the Black Knights from Dark Souls 3 because their moveset is a lot better than their Dark Souls 1 counterpart. But spruce them up a little bit. And you don't have to spruce them up that much, but just make sure they're a bit harder to backstab and that kind of stuff. Maybe, you know, the really slow attacks maybe speed up slightly. And just add like a attack that's like an anti-backstab attack or two, right? And then no problem. And then I'd add the Lothric Knights and then give them the upgraded moveset of the Lindell Knights that are like, you know, kind of copying them. But then update it even further than that, so the OG Lothric Knights get to be a bit scarier. I think that'd be really good. They should add the Millwood Knights. I think that's really good. That's a pretty solid trash mob. They should add the Ringed City Knights. Oh, fuck. Yeah, only a couple of animations that are, like, designed to kind of be weak. It's kind of like that Lothric Knight poke, right? That attack, to me, seems like it's designed intentionally to be kind of bad. So it's, like, a good way to get some damage in on them. Ringed Knights, I think, kind of have some moves like that too. Just like cut that shit out, and then they'll be a really good enemy. I actually think you can backstab this guy. It's just like impossible to tell. Holy fuck! I should have just gotten fire bombs. Is this guy what like a Reddit moderator does when you question their authority? That man just counter hit me. Really? That's our first death? Dude, that's honestly ridiculous. Like, there's just no, like, skill in fighting those guys. Their moveset is just completely unreactable over here. Because, like, in Elden Ring, you could just fight them a bit farther away, and you have, like, you do your big bursty stuff to stagger them and shit like that. Like, that is just nonsense, dude. My face when you post a meme in general chat. Nothing wrong with some light memes. You little shit. Lose a whole flask because of that guy. Why did you not climb the ladder like every other time? Also, you can just kill this enemy before he transforms, but I want the loot. I'm just gonna go buy fire bombs. So this is fucking stupid. Such a lame enemy. Really? There's no world. Dude, there's no world where that hit me. Like, you did not even see a pixel of that guy on the screen. This guy's chat when I say that oatmeal raisin cookies are better than chocolate chip cookies. Like how far it puts your souls, dude. Look, I'm not even saying chocolate chip cookies are bad, okay? It's just oatmeal raisin is better. And they're less sweet, so like they don't affect your stomach as much. Great. It's okay to be wrong. I cannot believe how much trouble this guy is giving me though. But I fuck it. I'm old. I don't need to do this shit. I'm just gonna get fire bombs and never look back. Oh yeah, I can level up now too because we killed the katana guy. Forgot. I've seen plenty of people get into this game and they struggle with Udix Gundyr and they die a lot. They normally lose their souls from the few trash mobs before Udix. And sometimes if they've killed the lizard, they lose those, which that's pretty significant. And then they die to the Lothric Knight and they lose their souls that they got from Udix and stuff. And I've seen people get pretty like far into the game and really just never have any souls to do anything. It's pretty rough. Oh, I have fire bombs. Why aren't they on my bar anymore? Motherfucker. Oh, we have resin and everything. Yeah, we messing this up. Chat, what's our build gonna be? I'm always happy to use the Dragon Slayer axe because it's so cool, but it's kind of OP for like early on. I mean, it's my favorite like looking weapon in the whole series. I love it so much. But we used it last time and it really is strong. Like and if you're gonna stay low level, that's fine. Because last time we did like Ringed City and all that shit at level 30. So it was okay to have such a strong weapon, but I don't know if we want to do that this time. Strength. Boy, chat really likes the brute. I don't know if I've ever really I don't think I've ever used the great sword in this one. I think I used it in PvP a little bit, but I was never too big on strength in this game, weirdly enough. Faith. People claim that Faith is at its worst in this game. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Problem with Faith is one of the best weapons you use is the Dragon Slayer axe. Because it doesn't require like strength and dex and stuff. Well, I tell you, I'm gonna follow the advice I give everybody. Level health first, because it doesn't matter what build I go with, I'm going to need health, and it's best to level it now than any other time. So we'll go to 15. There we go.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the flame.
There are some good miracles though. Like there's some buffs, and having extra healing is fine, and you got Sunlight Blade and stuff. I will say, I do see the problem because Sunlight Blade's great, Dark Moon Blade's great, but so is Crystal Magic Weapon, right? And then they get all the projectiles and shit. I tell you one buff that I love, but it's only good if you use big fucking weapons, is I forget the name of it, but it's the faith buff you get by killing Dancer early. It makes your weapon like light blue and sparkly because it gives you a damage percent buff, which is super rare in these games. And so if you have a big fucking weapon, a percentage of that damage is actually a lot of damage. And then the stat requirement is very low on that thing, and the stat requirement is very high on a big bonk stick, right? So they're like in synergy there. But that's the only time you can use it really ever, because if you use that buff on any other weapon, it just does not add enough damage to really, like, it's damaged, but it's nothing crazy. It's not worth the time, really. But it's a neat concept. They never really did a buff like that again. But they were thoughtful about it because they made the stat requirement low, so it was like good for those big boy weapons. Okay, I cannot believe how long we have dedicated to this fuck. I should have just killed him before he transformed. Saved myself so much trouble. I only hit him once, because somehow I whiffed there. Gotta wait a moment before you do the fire again. Damn it, too soon. Ah, so much easier. Just an ember to replace the ember I lost. That shield is so good in PvP. That is like my jam right there. It's such a good shield to slap I don't remember what's blessed, and then simple. Yeah, I would normally make 2 of those shields blessed and 2 of them simple. Shit like that. You do Cestus as well. God, I PvP'd so much in this game. I don't really miss it though. I mean, I miss the Covenants, and I miss like the level layouts of Cathedral of the Deep and Londo, good old Londo PvP. That was great. But I really never liked Dark Souls 3's like mechanics for PvP. They're always pretty horrible. They're just way too reactionary. And it's so bad, like it's so reactionary that the whole meta, if you want to like get as good as possible at this game, is to make up for the fact how everything is so reactable and it's so defensive and everything. In order to have offense, right, that's effective, you have to be constantly in your menu and constantly switching weapons and just constantly like switching to a weapon and then doing its weapon art for some crazy attack that it has like so quickly, so they haven't even seen that you have the weapon out yet. And that's the only way to have like good offensive mix-up, right, to actually catch people. And that's garbage. That's such a dumb fucking system. Like, you should, if you want to, you know, have tricky offensive options, that's fine, but you should be able to do them naturally and not be like menu gaming. But yeah, there's just too many iframes and too few recovery frames on rolling, and the way turn and burn is and everything is just way too much. Like 1v1ing in this game is the worst. The only weapon, I mean, sometimes it was fun, I guess. Like, I mean, because I played a lot, and there were certain weapon matchups that were fun. Like Great Club was awesome, and it had some pretty neat mix-up. The Twin Spears, even after they got nerfed, were really fun to use. But yeah, the PvP, like, mechanics in terms of, like, how you connect to people, right, and how you can have 6 players and all that, that was all great in Dark Souls 3. That was the best in the series, really. Like, the Covenants, Aldred's Faithful. It was so cool, like, having, like, these, you'd have, like, these hosts that are just, like, the lamest hosts possible, doing every little thing they can to give themselves an advantage. You know, camping in Londo, but you knew if you could just survive for a bit, you would get a fellow invader and like just seeing if they were good or not, and like working together. And when you'd win like that, oh my god, it was the best. Like, that shit was awesome. And then you could actually have fun as the host, right? Because as the host, you didn't have to summon 2 phantoms, you could just summon 1 phantom, like you and your one buddy, and then there's gonna be like 3 to 4 invaders now, so you're outnumbered, which helps equalize the fact that you have more health than the invaders, and the invaders can hit each other and you can't, right? So that kind of like 2v3 and shit like that was actually pretty balanced, because although you are stronger than them, but they outnumber you, right? So that was pretty cool. That just none of that shit's in Elden Ring. None of that shit is in Elden Ring. Like, Elden Ring is like the invaders always outnumbered, and there's just so it was way less, phantoms available and everything. Just kind of sucks. Well, that dog super died. But I think the mechanics of Elden Ring are a lot better. Like, the fundamentals when you're fighting each other and stuff. Like, your ability to be offensive and everything. It's just so much better in Elden Ring. I'm trying to get this guy to move so I can drop a bomb on him, but I don't think he's gonna have it. Look at that fall damage. Alright, come at me, bro. Fuck, the other guy's here too. What the hell, that hitbox? Okay, this is very awkward. Okay, you've had your fun. I'm not really sure why that wasn't a backstab. Dung eater armor. Invader is outnumbered, has less flask, and it managed to kill us all. Oof. You play with your friends or something? Like, and here's the thing, like, it's the whole invader host dichotomy is pretty complicated, because I get it. Like, if I get on my level like 22 invader, I'm not even that much of a twink. I'm really not. I've gotten out and beat the game, but like I don't min-max my gear to be as like disgusting as possible. I don't do that, because I don't want to like make it where the newbies can't fight back, right? And they don't have a chance. But like, I get it. I've got, a good setup. I've played the game a lot. It's not reasonable that like some players that are playing the game casually, they don't even have to be noobs, but they're just playing the game casually, right? Like, they haven't maybe played in a year, right? And I invade them, and that's really hard for them to deal with. It really is. And a lot of invaders kind of miss that. So I get why the hosts need a bunch of advantages. I get it. They should. The hosts should have advantages, right? Because you're getting invaded by Sweaty Boy, and you're just trying to play the damn game, right? So I get that. The problem is, I think you have too many advantages in Elden Ring, and then there's so much that you can do to like just make it so bullshit, right? You can turn Tanner's tongue on, get invaded, and then turn Tanner's tongue off so there can't be another invader, right? Just stupid shit like that. There's just so much stuff that, like, from the invader's perspective is just so like unreasonable, right? And then like the ability for 3 players to kill 1 player in Elden Ring is much greater than it ever has been, right? Like, if there's 3 of you versus 1 guy, the only invaders basically, like, when they're not like really good invaders, when they're kind of the typical invader, what they just try to do, because the 3v1 advantage is so hard to deal with, is they just try to use some bullshit like Stormhawk Axe or Zamor Ice Storm or whatever, and just like, gank the fuck out of the group and just like pick someone off or multiple people off, just like that, with like turn and burn, right? That's like their whole shtick. That's the whole shtick, is like, okay, the 3 players are gonna get greedy and try to hit trade with me, so I'm gonna use a weapon art that's like really, really, really strong and anti-aggro, and hopefully they just die, right? That's how they try to deal with the insanity of 3v1, which is just not great. What's the giveaway for? That's just for like, if we need to pick somebody from chat. If I was gonna be like, okay, someone from chat gets to pick what my build is, or we're playing a different game, they get to pick what unit I use or whatever. That's what it's for. It's still there from last time. And then chat just loves to say 8, because they know, right? All these regulars in chat, they know what's going on, and they're just being shits. And the best is, so in like Arknights, there's like a roguelike mode, right? And sometimes a run's not going very well, and like I'll start a stage and it's a really hard stage, and it may be varying degrees of obvious that I am going to die. And so whenever a run would fail, right, chat gets to pick a new, setup, right? Okay, will this guy fuck off? Anyway, so chat will like say 8, basically saying I'm going to die, even if maybe I won't, right? Like if this guy's whooping my ass, they'll just start saying 8 because they're implying that I'm going to die, and then like the run's gonna start over, and someone else needs to pick a new unit, right? Very hard to explain this when this guy's just being roll catchy piece of shit. Rip that guy. Okay. This was not a very smooth high wall of Lothric. It was very much the opposite of that. But having not played the game in a long time, also Elden Ring brain is really affecting me. We're basically here now. We could totally fight Dancer right now. We probably will fight her earlier rather than later. But I don't like need anything from that area. And we are very out of practice right now. Big gank. But I do think Dark Souls 3, not in terms of game mechanics, but in terms of invasion mechanics and phantoms and all that stuff, I think it had the best balance of PvP. Now, it did not have the best balance in, like, itemization or any of that shit, but just the numbers and, like, who could hit who and just how it all worked, it was pretty well done. And it's a shame that Elden Ring was just so fucking lazy with the online. It's weird that, like, it's been increasingly an afterthought, the online, because I remember when I heard about Demon Souls and all these, like, unique multiplayer mechanics, I was just like, that's the whole fucking reason I would want to play this. And, like, when I got into Dark Souls, that was just my favorite part. And then ever since, I remember when I first played Dark Souls 1, it took me a second to, like, really get into the PvP. I'd get invaded by people and I would enjoy it. But I didn't really get into it, right? I didn't, like, become an invader myself, and I would just do my best when I'd get invaded, and you know, that was that. After I beat the game, I put it down, you know, then I came back to it, you know, maybe a few months later, maybe a month later. And I remember I just like seen some Dark Souls clips from like YouTube or whatever, and you gotta remember this is old fucking YouTube, right? Twitch TV didn't even exist yet. It was Justin TV and shit like that. And you know, I was aware of PvP, and then I saw that, you know, some people, that's kind of all they did was PvP. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I remember, because it was a weapon I liked, just because I like axes, I didn't know anything about game balance or anything. I remember just looking up, okay, I typed into YouTube, Black Knight Great Axe PvP. And I think his name is like Ego Zeno or some shit. I think I just butchered it. It's something like that. It was some guy like that, and he just would make YouTube videos of him invading with whatever weapon. And I remember being like, oh, this is interesting, and like seeing the meta of how you could use Lloyd's talismans to block flasks, but then people could use humanity to heal, but it was really slow, and you could like backstab it. And you had some hosts that were like honorable, and some that were shits, and some that were gankers. And I'm like, wow, this is like a whole ecosystem. This is awesome. And I was like, okay, I gotta get into this. And I started off, and I was fucking, you know, bad. I just kept doing it. And ever since then, right? Ever since then, then Dark Souls 2 was announced, you know, way later, all I've cared about is the PvP. Like, really. I love the stories and the bosses, and I mean, I love that stuff. It's great. But every time a new game comes out, everything's about the PvP. And Elden Ring, with all of its flaws, I enjoyed the hell out of Elden Ring in that first few months. I remember I did a lot of level 60 PvP, right? I kind of stayed at level 60 and keep invading, and a lot of capital. And it was just so fun seeing the game develop and seeing how, like, different weapons started. That armor is so rare. That's crazy. I just got that. But it was so cool seeing, like, things develop, like the bleed meta, and then, like, you know, all the PvEers and the PvPers are trying to figure out, like, what's good. Like, people, like, is Storm Stomp good? Some people, oh, it's the best. I was like, not really, right? No, I loved it. Right, I absolutely loved everything about it. It was so much fun. Great fucking experience. And I swear to God, if Elden Ring 2 comes out or Dark Souls 4 or whatever, if they just like, you know what, no more PvP, I'm just going to be beyond sad. It's going to just like destroy my desire to play these games. Because not only is it super fun, but I just loved when there was so little information out. You know, it's new game, and every time you find a new Ash of War, you find an armor set, a ring, a weapon, it's like you just sit there thinking about, okay, you know, will this be good for PvP? And then will it be good for me? Right? Like, what can I do with this? And like trying to figure that stuff out is so much fun, dude. Oh my God. It's just like the PvE alone is just not enough. And I love the PvE, right? But the combination of PvE and PvP, I love it so much. Like trying to get as PvP competent as possible as I play through the game the first time and everything. It's just nothing like it. And like you're still enjoying the bosses and the music and all that. You know, it's such a great, unique experience. Oh yeah, the freeze stomp. Yep, that was everywhere. And then I learned that you could jump over it, and that helped so much. God, and I used a lot of Claymore day one, and nowadays Claymore is great, but that's because they've buffed it like 5 times. I'm not exaggerating. They've buffed it so many times. And man, Claymore was just so fucking ass at the start of that game, and I just wouldn't let it go. I was like, I gotta make this shit work, and it was so bad. And now it's good. Like, now it's fine. Will you stop doing that? I remember when I dueled Cairo and Tusk and my brother and stuff, and they were all just coincidentally using meta weapons. They weren't even trying. Like, Tusk was using heavy thrusting sword. Cairo was using straight swords, which are, you know, both of those are incredibly meta. And I was using Claymore, and it was so hard for me to compete. And like, no offense to them, I think they would agree with me. I am much better at PvP in these games than they are. But I was like really struggling, and it's because the Claymore was just so fucking bad day one. And I used axes too, and they were fucking horrible day one, and they still kind of are. But oh my God! So I remember when I finally stopped. I finally was like, okay, I'm putting the Claymore and the axe down, and I'm going to use like these weapons that I suspect are really good, like straight swords and stuff. My performance just skyrocketed, just astronomically. It was ridiculous. And then they buffed Claymore finally, and then they buffed it again. It's pretty viable now. Although it's still not really what you want to use if you're fighting a bunch of people at once. Like 1v1, no problem. But if you're fighting like 3 people, it's really not the one. Jesus. Do I have parry? This guy seems pretty parryable to me. I say that, and then he almost one-shots me. Okay. Also, I don't know this thing has parry. How do you check? Okay, yes, it has parry. God, that took forever. The problem is that first swing comes out so fast, you basically have to guess if he's doing it. You can't really react it. You're probably better set up parrying. Like parrying that swing. Okay, that frame data. Can I have that? Like, can I get that move? That would be great. Oh, Rivers of Blood. Rivers of Blood was so silly at the start of the game. So I'm gonna be honest, that guy could be an Elden Ring. You need to adjust it a bit because he'd be really easy to backstab in Elden Ring. But like those stance moves, they don't do that in the Lindell Knights and stuff. They don't do that stance stuff, and that's pretty strong. Again, you'd have to adjust it because they truly would be too easy to backstab in Elden Ring. But like, just like make that thrust move of theirs not so garbage, and then just give them some of the typical like improvements that the Lindell Knights have. And that enemy would be stronger than the Lindell Knights, absolutely. Like like the sword and board Lindell Knights do not scare me at all. I can fight those like endlessly and not have a problem. The best one though in Elden Ring is the spear variant. That's definitely the strongest one, I would say. You know what sucks? And this really sucks. There's no equivalent, and this is why they need to bring it back in Night Rain. There is no equivalent to the Great Sword version of Lothric Knights, which are so much fun to fight. Like, they need a version of that enemy that maybe just has, like, one extra move or two, maybe, like, a super move, and it has a bunch of health, and so it's like a mini-boss or a boss. That'd be awesome. Same for Cathedral Knights. Cathedral Knights and the Great Sword Lothric Knights are just crazy fun to fight. And there is no equivalent to them in Elden Ring, which is an absolute catastrophe. Sucks too because you don't get to fight one of those for a minute. Look at this guy like trying to get me to aggro the other dude. My game just like lagged out there for a second and a frame drop. These guys are pretty annoying. Good enemy to use your stance on for the shield break. Okay, that move. I remember really disliking this, I think it was an accident or an oversight, but in the mod, Dark Souls 3 Convergence, which is a great mod, but that stance move I just used, which it has like an auto guard break mechanic, like doesn't matter how much stability they have, it will just always guard break them. And for some reason in that Convergence mod, it didn't do that, which made the Ash of War pretty pointless, and I remember not being a big fan of that. Jesus, this guy's got some health. I was hoping he would block there. You know, I think I lose that hit trade. I just a sneaking suspicion. I want this guy. Wow. It's basically impending thrust, but better from Elden Ring. Like that it goes farther. And I think it's a bit faster too. Bro, this guy is putting Lindell Knights to absolute shame, dude. Jesus. Not sure why that wasn't a parry, to be honest. God damn it. You piece of shit. Ugh. By the way, because they hate you specifically, you can't get the blue version of that armor set. You can get the red one, but you can't get the blue one. They were Dark Souls 3 is really bad about that kind of thing, unfortunately. There's a lot of variants of stuff you can't have. Whoa! Trying to read my chat, buddy. That's such a, like, read you like a book is such a, like, Fire Emblem line. Like some filler combat dialogue. I can read you like a book. You know, some bullshit like that. God, I really prefer the old Fire Emblem games where there's not a bunch of, like, voice acting like that. And they were way less waifu focused. Yeah, there were pretty ladies. Okay, let's not get it too twisted. But it wasn't such an unbelievable focus of the series. I keep clicking the Elden Ring button combination to two-hand That is definitely gonna get me killed. It's gotten me hit a few times against that blue Lothric Knight, and a bit of an issue. God. Oh, you. Okay, this is getting a little yikes. Look at him rush forward. He's tried to stop me there. Whoa! I actually think they used that animation as the baseline for impending thrust in Elden Ring. Now, our version is, even in Elden Ring, is weaker than that, like, absolutely, but, Oh, you mother... That's what I get for skipping these in. This is going so badly right now. All because two of these fucking guys aggroed. Really? Let's go. I keep skipping frames. This is ridiculous how many flasks I've had to use because of this. Yeah, these guys flasking. The ones in the DLC they do flask. God. Just gonna. Oh God. Whoo boy, there's that gravity kill lost wanted. Okay, fuck it. I'm down to 1 flask. Actually ridiculous. Just trying to kill a blue guy. I don't even need the loot. He drops a refined gem, which is for a quality build, which is incredibly unlikely that we are going to do that. Damn it. Gotta look out for that impending thrust nonsense. I don't want that buff to wear off. That buff is really unique too because it adds physical damage. It doesn't add magical damage. Super unique. Okay, it's gone. Woo. Oh, that would have been so good. Damn. Oh. God, there's enemies down there. Fuck, and then he gets his buff, and then this jackass spear guy. Holy fuck. You could totally cheese this guy because he can't go in here, but will not do that. If I had more than 1 flask, that would have really helped. Nope, none of that. God. That loot is not worth it. Now, if he dropped his armor set, which he should, that would be awesome. But, I could use an Ember to heal up, but I think we just go back. God damn it. That guy was so... I figured it out, though. I just needed, like, when he would whiff some of his attacks, just R1, R1. You don't always need to go for a backstab. Just R1, R1, and you'll wear him down. I should have done that from the beginning. Would have been a lot better. Yeah, that's the real problem with Dark Souls 3. It really is R1 gaming. That is, for the PvE, that's the biggest flaw. And it does hurt the game a lot. Like, it really sucks that there is no reason to sneak in an R2 or any of that shit. It's just not worth it. I really like how an Elden Ring found a good balance of, if you want pure DPS, generally R1 spam is the way to go. But it's not very good posture damage. And, you know, if you're wanting to, like, ramp up posture damage over time, like, and you're not going to just spam, you know, a bunch of attacks in a row, there's an R2 here, an R2 there, that's the best way to get a you know, poise break. That's a really good balance. And then if the enemy move doesn't give you a lot of time, you might not be able to do an R2, so you still do an R1. There's plenty of reasons to do R1s and R2s. And Ashes of War, right? It's a much better balance. Like, Elden Ring has plenty of problems, but the core combat is definitely... Night Rain specifically, I think, has the best core combat in the series. It's so good that it kind of makes me mad because you can't have it in all the other games. Night Rain really is awesome. It definitely needs to work on its enemy variety and all that kind of stuff. Like, but oh my god, they did a lot right in that game. Like the super sprint and all that, awesome, so awesome. And the ability, man, I love the abilities, dude. The character abilities, those are just so great. And it's like, I think it's exactly what the series needed, because that's what I was saying earlier today. I really want in the next game that your starting class needs to matter a lot more. And I know some people don't like that, but I think it's the right thing to do. If you pick, like, I think whatever starting class you pick should dictate the two starting abilities you have, like a Night Rain, right? I just think that's that's better. I just think it's so nice to have like this these really custom, like, different, right? Because like what's her name, Recluse doesn't really play like Wilder at all, right? Even though they're both based on the typical combat system and from Demon's Souls, but like her version of magic is just so much more evolved and so much more interesting, and her special abilities complement that because both her abilities are specifically, you know, caster stuff. So all of a sudden you just have a character that just plays so much better as a caster, right? And same for like Wilder, you know, being more melee and all that. So yeah, if they do Elden Ring 2 or whatever and they don't really improve some of this shit, I'm gonna be mad. We've seen the Promised Land. You can't take it from us. I did not get... Oh, did I get the thing? I guess I did. I didn't remember getting the banner. Okay, Vort. Why you... So, Vort can come back in Night Rain, but he's gonna need to be comboed with something else. Now, because he's like friends with Dancer, everyone's gonna say that, but that would be kind of cancer as fuck. You need to pick another enemy that, you know, also would kind of need to be working with someone else. You could do like, you know, Copra Demon, for God's sakes. You could do a Fire Witch, like a souped up Fire Witch from Illithrill. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Vort being a bit tougher than I remembered. Oh god. It's not bad if you're far away from him, but if you're literally right in front of him, that was like a one or two frame startup there. He's shooting his beam into the ground. That was weird. Damn, he does need to be a Night Rain though. Imagine him with really good stats, so you're like you can't stagger him easily and shit. So like when you're playing in co-op and maybe there's other enemies around and he's charging back and forth across the screen, that'd be pretty sick. Dude, That really is a fast startup. Boy, that was sloppy as hell. But that's what happens when you don't play the game for a really long time. I kind of like it though. It makes it more of a battle. You got that shit memorized. It's not so exciting. Fort and Pontiff. That would be messed up. That would be messed up. I will say, at least Pontiff doesn't have like his rush down is not that great. He's especially in phase 1, and then even in phase 2 where he can rush you down a bit. You know, it's a pretty telegraphed charge, so somewhat reasonable. You could 2 vorts, yeah, you could do that. That's actually not terrible. The problem is if they're both in the charge phase at the same time, that would actually be incredibly toxic. Like in a team of 3, that's you can handle it because it's kind of your fault if the 2 people being targeted are both like near each other. You can even make it where you get that taunt icon, like you're being targeted icon, and anytime they go into the charge phase, they will never target the same player, so those 2 players can like be paying attention and move away from each other, right? That's fine. The issue is solo, right? Like solo, that you kind of have to make it where only one of them charges at a time, otherwise it'd just be bullshit. Oh, that's what I didn't get. Okay. Ice Fort and Red Fort. Dark Souls 2, baby. But yeah, I think Vort deserves to come back. I think Asylum Demon deserves to come back. You could update him with a lot of the tree avatar stuff, but then even more stuff, because he's the OG, so he deserves to be stronger than them. I think that's fair. Hell, Stray Demon in this game, right? They updated Stray Demon in Dark Souls 3. He's you know, kind of like a mini boss, and he's actually pretty good. So just like touch that up, and there you go. Yeah, I think they were too gun shy about reusing assets, and I've seen a lot of people say this, and it's just like I crazy agree. Like the vocal minority was like all mad about asset flipping, but really I think the majority of the player base is the other way around. They're like, why didn't you reuse everything? Like, why is Malekith not in this game, etc, etc. Oh, come on, that was a parry game. That was like beautiful. This piece of shit. Woo! I think that parry failed because the shield I'm using has really bad parry frames. The vanilla shields have the worst parry by a lot. So I pretty much like every single zone in Dark Souls 3 except for the Undead Settlement. Which is what we're about to do. Unless I want to kill Dancer right now, then we could go to Lothar Castle instead. If I did that, I'd have to go level up and get a reinforced club, though. We will kill Dancer early, but I don't want to do it tonight. It's 12:30 at night. You know, just give me a minute. We'll definitely do it early, though. Like, we're not going to be crazy high level or anything. Well, I mean, we'll do it. We might do it next stream, which might be a few days, because Vandictus is tomorrow. Although I could play this before Vandictus, because Vandictus, I think, is not until 10 at night. So I want to be awake. It is cool to kill her early, though. There's a lot of loot in there. Where is Reinforced Club in this game? Is it in Undead Settlement? I think it is. Because that is, one of the better early game weapons for her. I do kind of want to get in practice on Dancer again. So when I play Night Rain and I get to fight Dancer again, I can kind of test some stuff. Like if you can still stick to her back leg and all that. But like, I don't remember if it's the left or the right leg. I don't even remember. So I need to learn that shit again so I can do it in Elden Ring and see. Because I have a feeling they adjusted her AI. I think she's more aggressive in It definitely seemed that way. And that's probably the right decision just because of the way Elden Ring is, but I'm not sure. And I'm not in practice enough in Dark Souls 3 to like to have a very informed opinion right now. There are some enemies I know super well though, so like if they bring them back, I'll know that they changed some stuff. Like I think I would know like Pontiff pretty well. Change the leg, yeah, it'd be funny. It's because of like her stance, like the way she stands. I'm so confused as to why they brought back so few enemies. I mean, I get it, like in the interviews, it just kind of seemed like they were like worried that people would be like, oh my god, you're just asset flipping and stuff, but fuck it. Like, bro, I want to fight like old Demon King again. That's a pretty good boss for multiplayer. Just maybe speed up a couple of the animations. You have to be really careful about that. Like, you can't just like blanket speed the enemy up because, like, for example, Vort, right? If you just generically speed his animations up, that charge, because the startup is already so fast, is just going to be absolute bullshit, right? So you have to like pick, okay, that one move, that's way too slow. We speed that one up, right? Bed of Chaos. I mean this. I think, like, don't tell anyone. You don't put it in trailers. Like, if it's in the DLC, you don't let anyone know. I think they should bring Bed of Chaos back. It should be one of those like bubbles that you walk into and get teleported, and so you get one of those events, and then all of a sudden you're in the Bed of Chaos room, and you change it. You try to change it to make it way better, but it's still Bed of Chaos, right? Because that's just the god, the amount of like content that would come from that, right? Like, it's gonna get people talking like crazy. I think that'd be good for the game, and it'd just be. It's such a memorable part of Souls history that I think it's right to bring it back. Now, try to make it better, for God's sakes. What I would probably do is, first off, take it to 11, right? Make Bed of Chaos do more attacks, be more interesting, make it harder in a lot of ways. But for example, when the floor crumbles, do like a lava crack glow that shows this is where the floor is gonna break, you know, a few seconds before it breaks, right? Like, just some basic ass shit like that would stop it from being the worst fight on the planet. So, like, try to make it, you know, reminiscent of what it was. Don't just completely redo it, because that would kind of... If you remake Dark Souls 1, then you need to redo Bed of Chaos completely, right? But as, like, a callback in Night Rain, right? I think it needs to kind of harken back to what the fight was, but make it good, right? Which I think is very doable. Again, adding, like, a glow effects to the floor before it crumbles would be a huge improvement. Like, you could definitely make that fight interesting in a multiplayer. And it'd be hilarious. Maybe you add some other mobs into it to make it spicy, or you give her new attacks, whatever you do. Just imagine playing with randoms, and then, like, your dumbass Revenant or whatever falls to the floor, right? It'd be amazing. The entirety of that area was rushed. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm well aware. That's why if you remade the game, you need to just completely redo Lost Eyes Lilith. But yeah, harkening back to it, I think in Night Rain, you don't need to do that. But you do need to make the fight not ass, because it is the worst boss fight they've ever made. Like, it is just such a stupid fucking thing. Like, trial and error personified. God, Ornstein and Smo, I can't even believe they didn't bring them back. That's one that I will be so pissed if they bring them back and they don't really touch them up. Because, like, some of the bosses, they've only touched up a little bit. And Ornstein and Smo is so designed to be fought, you know, only one person fighting them, that they're not going to hold up against 3 people. And obviously they were against the Dark Souls 1 character, who's the slowest by far, right? So they would need some pretty serious adjustments to really live up to what they were. You know what you could do? Because there's 3 players, you could do Ornstein and Smo and, like, Artorias. That would be pretty sick. And I think you make it a Night Lord, even though the Night Lords have all been OG stuff. I think you got to make it a final boss like that, so it's like a real, you know, no time limit. This is going to be like a bottleneck for a lot of people, right? It's like man, that'd be sick. If it was just Bed of Chaos that sucks, I'd be happy, but it's really not. I don't know if you played OG Dark Souls. Oh yeah, I did. Oh yeah, I played the games, you know, I'm that guy. I've been part of this series forever. I'm old as fuck. But yeah, I agree. The lava area sucks. The dragon asses suck. It's so obvious that it's unfinished. Yeah, I'm completely with you. Like, I feel the same way. Totally unfinished, garbage, total letdown. When I played, cause I PvP'd in Dark Souls 1. Like, before Dark Souls 2 existed, I PvP'd in Dark Souls 1, like, so fucking much. And when I'd make new characters and, like, rush them through the game and stuff, I would wear sunglasses when I would do Lost Eyes of Lilith because the insane glow on the lava would give me a migraine headache. And, yeah, it was pretty stupid. But yeah, the second half of Dark Souls is not, like, some of it holds up well enough, and it's okay. Like, Seath's Place is fine. But, and thank God for the DLC, because that kind of, like, cleans up the, oh, I forgot to save Grey Rat. But that really cleans up. Bro, every Souls game does this, but, like, Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring the most is where, like, the enemy's AI will, like, work with itself to, like, rotate the attacks perfectly like that, where like, there's no opening. Like, that was insane, like, how many, attacks are, like, perfectly covering themselves there. God damn. So one thing I like about Dark Souls 3, and this is actually a huge thing I like about Dark Souls 3. You've got enemies like this lady right here, which is crazy. I can't target her with the auto switch thing. It's only, wow, I can only, that's crazy. Elden Ring really lets you, like, switch targets pretty freely. I can only target these two guys. That's insane. Anyway, you got this fat lady here. You got the Cathedral Knights, the Lothric Greatsword guys. Like, there's a bunch of, like, what do you call them? The knight guys in the DLC. I forget what the Millwood Knights, the Ringed City Knights, all that stuff. They're like these medium difficulty, like, kind of medium boss, like, trash mobs that are really fun to fight, and they have enough health generally, unless you're, like, really hitting it hard on the leveling. But they have enough health that you get this nice exchange back and forth, and it's like every time I run into one of them on the level, it's nice. It's like and there's some of the later levels, you have a nice variety of different, like, medium difficulty enemies like that. And I really like that. Elden Ring doesn't have a lot of that, because Elden Ring, it's a lot of, like, one-shotting enemies, so you don't even interact with their moveset at all, which honestly sucks. Or it's stuff that has a really obnoxious-ass moveset that you don't want to interact with. Like, don't lie to me, when you do those, like, Tomb of the Giants dungeons in the snow area of Elden Ring, and you have to fight those watchdog trash mobs that, like, jump in the air and like, in one frame come down into the ground. You don't want to fight that. Nobody's happy to fight that. That's not fun, right? But, like, a Cathedral Knight or whatever, I'm super happy to get in there and, like, enjoy, you know, their moveset. Elden Ring has very, very little of that. Like, you either just murder the mob, or it's a mob that is just so fucking annoying to fight, you don't want to fight it at all. And because of that, you find a way to trivialize it, right? You find a way to not have to fight it legit, because it sucks. And you can do that in Dark Souls 3. The thing is, I actually, you know, like fighting them legit, so it's like, no problem. I actually hit R1 there, and it didn't come out. I'm not really sure what happened there. Ooh, that was risky. The Elite Knights are pretty good. They're pretty similar to Lothric Knights. Although I gotta tell you, that blue Lothric Knight was way better than those Elite Knights. So I will say the Red Mane Knights in particular are pretty good. They're probably the best ones. Like, there's a few like elite enemies in Elden Ring that I do like, but the thing is, like, those Elite Knights in the camps in Elden Ring, for example, it's kind of what I was getting at. It's really easy to kill them without them getting to fight back once you're, like, level 40 and up, and you're not even trying. You're not like trying to cheese them. It's just the nature of Elden Ring, and, like, how bursty the game is and how much damage you can do. And because it's open world, you know, God knows what order people does any of the zones. So a lot of the enemies are kind of designed in a lukewarm kind of way with their stats. That it's like, okay, if they did it early, it's possible. And if they do it late, it's going to be easy, but at least it's, like, good enough, right? Like, there's a lot of that. And so there's just so many enemies. Like, yeah, they do have kind of a cool moveset in Elden Ring. But I'm just stagger locking them forever and they're dead, right? It's not great. I played an okay amount of modded stuff. Like, I played Convergence for Dark Souls 3. I played one of the other ones for Dark Souls 3. I can't remember. Like, I've done a few mods here and there. I don't do it like loads, because honestly, because I find most of the mods are bad. And I know there's good ones, but I can't be bothered to filter through all the garbage. I loved the convergence mod for this, though. I love that druid boss that was in this zone, because he was, you know, really cool and unique and everything. And like the way they brought, you know, used parts of Sekiro and other stuff to make a unique boss fight, that was pretty well done. It was mechanically very different than like the model he was based on. But what I super liked about that boss fight is the guys that made the mod weren't trying to make that druid boss fight like harder than Midir or Gale or Pontiff. It was just like a medium difficulty, you know, new boss fight. Because it was new, right? Because you don't have it memorized yet. It obviously made it a little bit harder than the bosses that were already in the game. But that was really nice to see. Like, I think a lot of mod devs just have fucking idiot, like, they're just like fan brain, right? It's just like, I'm gonna make a boss and it's gonna be harder than Melania, right? And it's just that's not quality, right? Because like you're not setting out to make a good boss fight or a boss fight that's like good for the area. You know, you're just setting out to, you know, do something like for your ego more than anything, right? Like that's shit. Mods are generally just not that good, right? I find mods, there's a reason why the professionals are the professionals, I swear to God. I've seen art stones. Was that the one? I think there's so many that I kind of forget, because there was another one back when Convergence was like the mod, you know, Elden Ring wasn't out yet. There was another Dark Souls 3 mod that I tried and I hated it because it was just so amateur. Like, they had like a boss rush arena where they would just spawn 10 billion enemies that just Zerg rushed you with no, like, it was just bullshit, right? It was just so much nonsense like that. It was just awful. I don't think that was Archstones, though. I know, I've definitely heard the name Archstones. I can't remember, because there's the Dark Souls 1 mod that I know that was getting made that was, like, crazy overhaul. I'll have to look. I'm not sure. Yeah, people, God, most mod content is, it really is just amateur. It's just like, it's so like teenager brain, I think is the best way of putting it. I could watch a trailer for it. Hold on. I could, let's see. Like, how recent is the most recent trailer? Because I know sometimes there's more than one. Is with Dark Souls 3. Trailer. Oh, I did see. Yeah. I saw Ouroboros play this a bit. Yeah, you got like that green armor set, and I don't know. It looked okay, but it kind of looked like what I was just talking about. Hold on, let me find. And the most recent trailer is a year ago, as far as I can tell. Let me see. Yeah, I do remember. I did.
Welcome to the next.
I want to say, didn't I play? I think I did play it a little bit. Yeah, I think I did play it a little bit. Do you see Mortal Shell 2? Yeah, I've never cared about Mortal Shell that much. The whole like body swap thing is just kind of weird. I mean, I might try it sometime. I'm pretty sure I did play it some. Yeah, you played it. Yeah, because when I saw that desert area, I was gonna watch it, but because I've already played it, I don't really need to react to this right now. I off memory, it just felt, and I may be conflating this because it was a while ago, but off memory, it was just kind of like that typical mod where the mod creators are like trying to one up FromSoft and they're just failing at it miserably because they're just doing like stupid cheap bullshit. It's kind of like, oh man, wouldn't it be tough if this guy did this and then this and then this and then this and that. It's just stupid. I did like that green armor set though. That looks awesome. There's so little green in FromSoft's games for armor sets. I don't know why. But I might try it again because I'm not even 100% sure. I'm not conflating it with a different mod. But yeah, I remember that desert zone and that green armor set, definitely. The only mod I've ever played for the Souls games that I just straight up liked was Convergence. I think that was a very well done mod. All of the bosses they added were not, like, they didn't feel crazy out of place. Like, they were perfectly hard, but they weren't just doing a bunch of cheap bullshit trying to be like, oh, look how hard this is. Like, most mods are just garish. I think it's the best way of putting it. I find most mods are just straight up garish. Honestly, what I want out of, like, some Elden Ring mods is I don't want them to, like, redo the game. I don't want any crazy shit. This is what I want. I want a boss rush mode, right? So I can replay the bosses, like bonfire aesthetics. Let me replay the bosses whenever I want. I want a lot of the night rain stuff. You can just not do it, or you can just play as the bird. You know, balance be damned, sequence breaking be damned. Just let me use the bird's ult and get into the snowfield. Fuck it, I don't even care, right? Just let me play as the night rain stuff. Give me the skills, give me the ults, use them the exact same way. Don't change fucking anything. That's like all I want. Really, it's really all I want. And you know, maybe add in a few armor sets from like past games and stuff. That's always fine. But I don't need like some giant revamp mod bullshit. It do put an armored core in there, that's fine. Whoops. Not really paying attention, and I'm kind of aggroing a few too many mobs here. As I aggro more. This is one of those things where there's not a lot of frame data for me to work with, because there's always an enemy swinging. Excuse me. Also, fucking thralls. I do find it funny that thralls are kind of a famously obnoxious enemy, and that's one of the few enemies brought back in Elden Ring. I like these games a lot more, though, honestly, when I'm not, like, really in practice. Because, like, when I'd make PvP characters in this game, I had everything so fucking memorized that, like, you know, nothing was even slightly hard or engaging. It's so much better when you're, like, rusty and don't remember where all the enemies are and that kind of shit. God, the amount that I PvP'd in this game, though. Fucking Anorlando and Cathedral of the Deep. That delay... That hitbox. Brilliant. I like how she doesn't take fall damage, but if I jump down there, I know I will. Like 100 fucking %. Don't shoot me on the ladder. Ooh, trying to get me with that book anti-aggro. Bro, that fucking delay. Oh my god. The fat absorbs the fall. I'm not sure that's how that works. Dark Souls 3 is so weird, though. I think it has the worst PvP mechanics by, like, a mile, but it has the best PvP, like, matchmaking and just, like, things that can happen in, like, environments. I mean, Londo is just the best shit ever. But, like, what was that mob doing, by the way? But you trying to talk to my chat, and you gotta walk all the way over here. Anyway, I cannot believe, like, how... If one more mob comes over here, I swear to God. But I cannot believe, like, how defensive and reactionary they made not Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3. Like, it's just the worst. Like, nobody can kill anybody unless somebody does something stupid. And, like, the whole meta, because the game is just so anti-aggro, that the way to be aggro is just non-stop switching weapons, so they literally can't see what weapon you're holding. Like, you switch to a weapon and then in one frame, you know, do your weapon art or your R2 or whatever the fuck you're switching to it for. That is just that is the worst meta of all time. That is garbage. Like, I think Dark Souls 3 in a way has the best PvP just because it has the best connectivity. Like, the covenants and everything facilitate like really interesting encounters. But like when you watch two players that are incredibly good at Dark Souls 3 1v1 each other, it takes them like I remember there was two like big shots in the PvP community like saying they could beat each other, and they eventually dueled, and they were both being so sweaty and try hard. It took like 45 minutes for one of them to die because they were both being so fucking anti-aggro, right? It's just terrible. Like, you will never have an arena match in Elden Ring take 45 minutes, but it happens all of the time in Dark Souls 3 because it's just bad. Yeah, it's because like everything, the only shit that's good, the only way you can land a hit in Dark Souls 3 when people are good at the game is if you swap weapons and are doing like animation bleeding from like you know, running and shield pumping and shit like that. Like the actual game, you know, the actual like movement, rolling, attacking, you know, recovery frames, it's impossible to ever hit anyone ever, right? It's just the game, especially because of the lag, right? Because the game just is very like this is very generous, right? I've never leveled endurance, and I just rolled so many times, and there's barely any recovery frames during any of this spam, right? There's almost no window to actually land a hit during this. And because of the latency, a lot of times there is no window. You cannot hit them ever. So the way you get anything done is just glitching. Yeah, fucking Estus canceling where you like lock on and back up and all that shit, so there's no Estus animate. It's just terrible. And like the bow glitch is like the dumbest shit ever. But the problem is like, because the game is like so defensive, like, okay, I'll give Dark Souls 3 this. When people didn't know how dumb it was a lot better. Like the first few months of Dark Souls 3 PvP, I did love to death. And I still played it after that. But once people figured out, did anyone here play For Honor? So I don't know how For Honor is now, but I played the beta and then I played it like when it first came out. And the beta was good because people didn't know what the meta was. And then the game came out for real, and it was terrible because just like Dark Souls 3, being defensive was way too good. You could reaction everything. Everything. There was no reason to swing first. Ever. You were just always better letting them swing, block or parry or dodge, whatever they were doing, and then counter. That was just, and it was just garbage because of that. And then the meta became doing a bunch of weird glitchy bullshit to like fake telegraph where you're actually swinging, like you'd like spaz the fuck out and half charge and then do it the actual thing you were doing to try to like get it so they didn't block you, right? It's just like it's like not how the game is even designed to be played, right? And that's exactly what Dark Souls 3 turned into, right? It was just like these two guys running around like this and constantly going in their inventory and just item swapping over and over and over and over and just like throwing out bullshit. And if they finally got like a backstab, then they would, you know, wake up Gundyr, and I just it's garbage, right? Absolute garbage. Now the Dark Souls 3 at its best though is like you've got people that aren't that bullshit, right? And maybe you got his host and his friend in Londo, or his host and two friends in Londo, but they got the dried finger on, and you know, you got a bunch of invaders coming in, and you can use the environment and gravity and cat ring and that's great, right? That shit's great, completely unmatched by all the other games. But the core mechanics are just they're just ass. Like the role is way too generous. It's crazy to say this because I hate Dark Souls 2 so much. Dark Souls 2 has the best PvP. Now, it doesn't in practical application, it absolutely doesn't, because you've got adaptability, you've got soul memory, right? All this shit, right? There's so many things that make the PvP bad in Dark Souls 2. But like mechanically, right, when you're like dueling somebody one-on-one, and let's say you happen to be the level range where you don't have too much adaptability, like maybe you're dueling like 120 or whatever, it's the best. It's the best by far because jumping attacks are good. Running attacks are good. R2s are good. R1s are good. You can be defensive. You can be aggro. There's actual it's the most like a fighting game. Dark Souls 2 is by far the most like a fighting game. When you're at neutral, you have the most options on like what to do, both offensively and defensively, right? I hate Dark Souls 2, mind you, but it mechanically is the best one, and it's when you get into like good duels in that game, it was awesome, really, really awesome. But soul memory just wrecked the whole thing, and you know, it does garbage. But yeah, the mechanics are really good. I would say Dark Souls 2 is the best mechanically, probably the worst in terms of systems though. And then Elden Ring I think is second, and then probably Dark Souls 1, and like I really do put Dark Souls 3 last. you know, I enjoy Dark Souls 3 PvP a lot. Like, a lot, at least back in the day. But it's just so flawed, and the core mechanics are just so bad. Like, oh my god. And there's just so many broken things, like Murky's hand scythe, and crap like that. And like straight swords, like the really good straight swords when you got really meta with them. And then the curved swords, like the Pontiff Knight. I mean, god, that stuff was just so fucking ridiculous. Bloodborne PvP is the worst. And I got into Bloodborne very late, but I had watched the PvP even before I played the game, and it is so bad. And then when I played it myself, you know, kind of recently, it was exactly what I thought. It's just terrible. It's just dodge spamming, randomly throwing out bullets, trying to parry the other person, like ranged parries with that, or that have like super short startup and everything. Terrible idea. Also, I could not believe how bad the netcode was in Bloodborne. Like the netcode is bad in all of these games, right? Night Rain is the first game that has kind of okay netcode. But even then, it's nothing spectacular. But the netcode in Bloodborne is just unspeakable. I mean, it is absolute misery. Now, Bloodborne PvP is funny. I'll definitely give it that. It's a very unique experience, and it's not like the rest of them. And some of the meme shit that you can do is really funny, but it is bad. And oh my god, oh my god. Is the evil one here? You know who you are. Is he here? The farming in that game to like optimize a PvP character. You know who? Don't even start with me. But like that one build he did that he had like grinded like a motherfucker, so he had like, you know, way higher stats than me. Like if you watch that clip, you know, I lose, but I beat the piss out of him, right? Like I hit him a trillion times, but it didn't matter because he was like so min-maxed with those like runes or whatever the fuck that you can farm the hell out of. Like that was so stupid. And yeah, that game you can like twink so hard. And Dark Souls 1, well, I'll talk about that. That's a whole thing. That's one of the craziest PvP metas. So I'll talk about that in a second. The remaster is worse because they got rid of dead angles, and dead angles made that game unironically way better. I keep getting hit by that, and it does half of my fucking life. The smart thing to do is block until you can confirm that's what she's doing. Yeah, I got into it with Dark Souls 1. I was like aware of Demon Souls, but I didn't have a PlayStation. So I got into it when Dark Souls 1 dropped. I got it day one. I was like so ready for it. And then I played Demon Souls after. But okay, so Dark Souls 1, not the remaster, is a glitchy piece of shit. But like Smash Brothers Melee, on accident, it has very interesting PvP. And everyone says it's a backstab fest, but when you have two people that are very good at that game, it's not. It is not. When you watch good players play that game, there's only a lot of backstabs if they're playing someone that's bad, right? It's pretty easy to counter backstabs and stop them. The threat of a backstab, though, does like influence how they're playing, right? And it's fine. I think the threat of a backstab is fine. And again, it's glitchy and stupid, and like, I mean, fucking the toggle escaping is interesting and balanced and makes the game better, but it's dumb, right? Like, why is this get you out of hit stun, right? And then the fact that if you don't do this, you're hit stunned until they run out of stam, right? So you can get one shot, right? There is so much in that game that is dumb, and it just coincidentally ended up being actually pretty balanced and engaging if you were good at it. But it's the worst. Dark Souls 1 is so bad to just get into it. Right, it's like trying to get into Melee right now, right? It's just if you've never played it, it's impossible to understand what is happening, and you will get backstabbed 10 trillion. Even if you played Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, if you jump into Dark Souls 1 and try to PvP like 1v1 and stuff, you are going to get backstabbed 10 trillion times because you are just not going to understand like what is going on. So it's a terrible game, but dueling in that game, because I got very good at it, and dueling in that game against other people that were good at it was very, very, very fun. And it was very, very unique, and I liked it a lot. But it's a piece of shit. Right? It's a complete piece of shit, and I like it, but it's absolute garbage. And all the criticisms of it are, well, not all the criticisms, but most of the issues people have with it are legitimate issues. Yeah, Melee is that's a game. Yeah, I am much older than 18, so imagine how old I feel. Believe me, if you're 18, look, I know how this is going to come across because people said it to me, and I know how I reacted. I have memory, but it is true. You are not old when you're 18, and you still have the opportunity to do anything that you want. And it's really hard to understand this because people told me that, and you roll your eyes and blah 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 blah. But when you get older, you will understand. I guarantee it. Right, you will get older and your body won't work as well, and you will realize that there are things that you were too afraid to do when you were younger that you would kill to have the opportunity to do now. Right, like a lot of people, like with social stuff, will be too much anxiety and stuff to like talk to people and things like that. And when they get older, they realize it's not that big of a deal, and you wish you were younger and you could do more of that kind of stuff, right? And that goes for like rock climbing or whatever it is, right? There's so much stuff like that. So as you get older, your options do decrease. So you really do want to take advantage of your youth while you have it. There's a reason why one of the most popular sayings of all time is the youth is wasted on the young. And I think almost every person that has ever existed, once they start getting older, start to understand that that is true. And everyone that when they're young, it rolls their eyes at it, right? It's an endless cycle that just never fucking ends. Let's see. But there's a flip side to it, right? You have some people that will like discount. You'll have like a teenager or something, and people will discount their opinions just because they're a teenager. You shouldn't do that, right? Like somebody can have a good perspective on something regardless of how old they are, right? And like I do get it because like now that I'm older and I'll you run into teenagers at the store or whatever it is, and sometimes they're just so fucking stupid. I mean, they're just so fucking stupid. And like they're doing something that you have a deep understanding of because you were a teenager and you had the same thought process that going on in their head that they think you don't know, but you do. And like there are just times where it's just like you can't help but just be like, oh my god, here we go again, right? But you have to like understand just because there are some things like that doesn't mean everything teenagers do is stupid. That doesn't mean they don't have interesting insights, or they don't understand anything, or they don't have a degree of maturity and whatnot, right? You have to treat people as individuals, and that kind of stuff. And some boomers out there really just don't do that, and they just discount literally everything young people say or do. I am getting fucking destroyed by this man. I did not mean to do that. Social anxiety is tough. I had some of it when I was younger. I've always been more outgoing than most of my family. What mainly got me was just like my upbringing was insane and I was sheltered a lot, and so there are people in my family that really do have social anxiety, and because I was sheltered in my younger years, I thought I did, but I actually didn't. So I avoided a lot of social stuff for a long time because I thought I was an introvert and blah, 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 blah. But then I realized, oh, actually, not at all. I'm actually super social and I'm very good at this and it's no problem. So it was just like, once I got into it, then it was really easy. But I know for people that have actual social anxiety, that's not always the case. And it can be a lot harder to get like comfortable with that kind of stuff. I think it really helps to have like, with most things in life, it helps to have a good role model. Like a father, that helps a lot. And not everybody has those. It helps to have a good friend group, which not everyone has those. That unfortunately, that is the cure, I find, to a lot of like social problems one can have, like social anxiety or inexperience or any of that stuff. Generally, the fix to it good role models and a good support group and all that. And when you don't have that, it's hard to just like, well, instead of that, do this, right? So one thing that might help you is like just experience, right? It's like exposure therapy, right? Like it's going to be hard for a while, but like the more used to you get to like confrontation and shit like that, the less it will affect you, right? But yeah, I know there's different degrees of social anxiety and it can be very tough. I love having the white branch so this guy doesn't shoot me in the face. Great. Yeah, there it is. That's what I was looking for. I was pretty sure it was in this area. So, when I was young, although I was pretty similar to you with like, I really liked debating, and I still do to a degree, and all that. Like, I'm definitely very similar to that. I think I was just blessed with better gravity. Anyway, you know, less social anxiety. But I'll just say from like my experience, being a person like that, right? You come off as being very abrasive, right? Like I can't, for most of my life, I come off as very abrasive and stuff. But I've learned, like, it's not like, here's the thing. I don't think being abrasive is necessarily bad because it's honesty. That's the thing. A lot of people that are like, oh, you're abrasive. You're actually just being honest, right? Even if you're wrong, right, about something, like your opinion is wrong, you're still being honest that that is your opinion, right? And a lot of people really, really do not like that. People hate abrasive people, right? And like I said, I'm an abrasive person. So it is something that if you want to be successful in any capacity, you have to learn to be less abrasive in certain contexts. You just have to, otherwise you are just not going to get anything done. And that's one reason I like streaming, because I can be an abrasive asshole and it doesn't matter, right? Because I'm not a professional streamer anymore anyway, and I don't have to worry about bringing in the views anymore, and so I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And so it's a great outlet. But yeah, when I'm conversing with people on the street or with friends and family and stuff, you have to find a tactical balance of still being honest and, you know, not sugarcoating things, but, you know, doing it in a way that will actually communicate, right? Because, I know, I've communicated with a lot of people and had a lot of arguments and debates throughout my life, like a lot. And over time, you just start to realize that I might be right about this, like incredibly right about this, but it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter how right I am about this. They will never even understand that I'm right about it, because being abrasive makes them just not even hear the words that are coming out of your mouth, right? And that's dumb, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is so worth, you know, improving your social skills, right? So you can still be yourself. You're not lying, right? You can still be yourself. But you can be tactical enough, right, and be yourself in a way that will facilitate better communication, right? Because I think that's a problem a lot of young men have, is I think men on average, you know, it's a generalization, but I think a lot of men really enjoy debate and hashing out ideas and stuff, right? Because men are more combative, we'll say, right? And I think it's just very common when you don't have a lot of social experience that actualizes itself in being very abrasive, right? And it's kind of a you know, a hard thing to balance, because you can be completely correct about something and they can be behaving like a baby, and it's easy to say, well, they should just take the truth and that's that, but you know, it's not actually effective communication is the thing. I don't really blame people, though, for having a hard time approaching people, because in the modern world, because I've seen this when I was young, back in my day, but back in the day, you know, the internet wasn't a thing. You didn't have social media. They did not exist. And even like the really primitive like forums and stuff in the early days, I mean, that was just totally different. Totally different. Like the landscape is like when I was young, I didn't have to worry about accidentally looking at someone in the gym and them posting that on social media and trying to frame you as an asshole, and then maybe even sending it to your work and all that kind of shit. This happens, right? This happens today, right? And because even if that doesn't happen often, the fact that that does happen just scares people off from interacting with other humans at all. Right? Like there's so much like absolute bullshit that gets posted on Twitter and Facebook and whatever the fuck else, and you have people getting fired over stupid shit and just crazy nonsense that it makes people a lot more gun shy about just being you know, just interacting like a normal fucking human being. It's really sad because most humans, when they realize that you're not going to murder them, right, and you don't have some like fucked up interior motive, and you're just genuinely interested in talking with them, most people are just like so happy to converse, I find, right? Because in my, you know, adulthood life here, you know, I've become a lot more social than when I was younger, and I found it to be the easiest thing. It's actually so easy, because if you're genuinely like not an ass, and you're genuinely happy to, like, you know, oh, you know, what is this person about? What interests them? You know, what does make them tick? They're so happy to talk to you, and it's like the easiest thing ever to like get a conversation going and to make a connection with people. Then you start, and then you'll find people when doing that, like, oh, hey, this person's a nerd like me, or what? Can this bitch stop spamming that? Just saying. Also, can I stand up? That was crazy how long it took my character to stand up there. Oh my god. This freaking dog. I know a lot of people from Brazil, weirdly enough. At my time streaming. I don't know if it's my time zones or what. Language, young man. Why are you being mean to her? Because she's trying to kill me with a fucking Bible. Like, that's why. Oh, fuck, I forgot to go buy the key, for the shortcut here. Watch me take fall damage. Oh, no, okay. I wonder if the Goomba Stomp had any effect on that. Rats. Boy, I'm gonna be so angry if because they're making Duskbloods and stuff like that, that if the next big proper release, you know, not a spin-off, side game, any of that, the big, you know, Elden Ring 2 or Dark Souls 4, Dragon Souls, all that stuff, I swear to God, if that comes out and there's just no more PvP, oh, I'm gonna be so fucking livid, dude. Because as these games age and the meta gets incredibly established, the PvP gets worse, I would say. I think Elden Ring has held up pretty well, though, in that regard. But the beginning, the first few months, man, even the first year of the PvP for these games is so good. It's so special. What the fuck, my family? What the rats? I have 31,000 souls. I might want to consider using that. Oh, I need to go Ember Form to get what's-his-face to invade me. It's because I died, so I lost, I'm used to the way I'd play this game back in the day where I wouldn't really die, so I'd always be in Ember Form. And if I ever lost Ember Form, I would go invade until I got it back that way. Dark Souls 2 is not very special to me. I'm gonna be honest. I was so not impressed with that game. I remember playing it. Now you gotta understand, Dark Souls 1 was the first game that I played many. I was a gamer for a while at that point. But like that was the first game that, like, man, I really liked it. The PvP, man, I was just like so into that whole like hunter prey protector dichotomy, right? I was just so fucking into it. And so when they announced Dark Souls 2, I was like, oh baby, right? Like I was so excited. I'm like, man, more PvP, more stuff. Like this is gonna be great. Love Dark Souls. So of course I'm gonna love Dark Souls 2. So excited for it. And I think it was when I was in Earthen Peak, it finally hit me that this game is shit. It's just like, this game's terrible, right? Like the enemies, like, because Dark Souls 1 holds up pretty well in terms of like the enemies' animations, like looking crisp and looking like believable and not sloppy and everything. But Dark Souls 2 doesn't. The enemies are just so sloppy. Their animations are awful. Everything is so rushed and just, it's sloppy is the perfect word for it, right? And you know, by Earthen Peak, I was just like, this isn't actually very good. I was like, is this? You know, I'm running on fumes here. It's like I was excited, and that got me, got me through the game for a while. But it's like I just started to realize this game isn't that good. I still ended up, having fun dueling people on like the Dragon Bridge and all that, and Iron Keep or whatever. I still, I had fun with it, but it never really had a special place in my heart like Dark Souls 1 did, and Dark Souls 3 really has a special place in my heart, because think about it from my perspective, right? You played Dark Souls 1. Amazing. You love it. It's such a special, unique thing. Dark Souls 2 comes out, and you think it's going to be more of that, and it's not. It's terrible. It's a huge letdown. You hate it, and it's garbage. And then, finally, Dark Souls 3 comes out, and it's like Return to Form, right? It's the actual sequel to Dark Souls 1. And people kind of got mad at it because of that, because it's so much like Dark Souls 1, but I don't give a fuck. I was so happy, because I like Dark Souls 1. I don't like Dark Souls 2. So the Dark Souls 3 being like this like evolution of Dark Souls 1, I was very happy with that. And it was so satisfying. I absolutely loved my first playthrough of Dark Souls 3. Like both the PvP, like the casual PvP that happened along the way, and I did quite a bit of invading on my first playthrough. But that and just the Twin Princes and Soul of Cinder and all that, just great, just so great. Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. Dark Souls 3 is really special to me. That's why I won't play it for really long periods of time. This is my first time playing it in a long time. I have like, 2,000 hours on PC, and I don't even know outside of that, and like mods and everything. I probably have more than that. But, I play this game a lot. But I haven't played it in ages. I mean, I haven't played it in so fucking long. And that kind of brings back that spark, because I'm kind of bad at it again, right? I don't remember all the little shit and all the movesets and everything. Like when I fight like Twin Princes again, or Demon Princes and Frida and all that, it's gonna be a whole thing again, right? I don't remember if you're supposed to roll this or you're supposed to jump. So I'm gonna go with roll and then probably die. Oh my god, we're alive. It's a good start. I want to be clear, I didn't press a button. I really want to be clear about this. I did not press a button. And I remember this being a thing in Dark Souls 3 that you would land on something and everything is fine.
Good.
Like, I really gotta stress this. I did not press a button. We landed, I was not touching anything on the controller, and then I just continued to fall and died anyway. And that is very much a thing in Dark Souls 3. That is bullshit, by the way. That is so much bullshit. That actually happens in Elden Ring too, to a much lesser degree, but that kind of nonsense where you clearly land and should be fine, and then it just makes you fall a few seconds later. It's so stupid. Yeah, I mean, I played Dark Souls 3 so much back in the day that I knew it like the back of my hand too. But believe me, you wait, 5-6 years, and it won't be like the back of your hand anymore. There'll be parts of it that are still like ingrained in your memory and everything, but you give something enough time and it'll be fresh again. Don't play this game until you're 30. It'll be real rough again. I'm not touching anything. I'm not touching anything. Okay, there we go. Didn't fucking kill me this time. I'm gonna just heal the full. I don't even care. I'm honestly so excited to play this game again because like I have not played. But I'm not really excited for the early game. The early game is kind of whatever. But like I'm really excited to fight Pontiff again and like Frida, Twin Princes and Demon Princes, all that shit. Gale, Midir. Probably most excited to fight Midir again. I don't know though. Stuff I played because like when I was real young, playing like Mech Warrior and Rainbow Six Rogue Spear, and there was another Rainbow Six game I can't remember the name of, like Black Ops or something. Mech Warrior, Mech Commander, like all fucking Metroid Prime 1 a few years later, a good bit later, but you know, Halo, the original Halo 1, 2, and 3, right? Those are kind of those games when I was younger, right? And for a while, I definitely knew those games like the back of my hand, but I haven't played Halo 3 more than like the first level and like, you know, 15, 20 years or some shit. Maybe not quite that long, maybe like 13 years or something. And believe me, if I go back to it now, it'll be fresh again. It'll be plenty fucking fresh again. I bet if I played Rainbow Six Rogue Spear right now, oh boy, right? Like there are certain things about it that I played the shit out of Rainbow Six Rogue Spear. Oh my god, I played the shit out of that game. And I'm sure I would remember some stuff, but yeah, it'll be pretty new again. Right? It'll be pretty new again. Man, that was a long time ago. That was like more than 20 years ago. Whew. That was before there was like online multiplayer. Like really, there was very, very little online multiplayer. You had to like hook your computers up to PvP and stuff. Yeah, there's games that I haven't played longer than you've been alive, right? And that's kind of what I mean by like right now. It's going to seem like, you know, Dark Souls 3 will never be like that good again, but if you give it enough time, it will. Because you're going to get into other things, right? You're going to get into other games, other franchises, and then before you know it, 5 years will have gone by and you haven't played it, right? Maybe even more. And then when you do finally get around to playing it again, it'll be special again. Because there's a lot of things in my life that like my favorite anime, right, is like Black Lagoon. I don't watch it very often, right? I haven't watched it in a while. Like Baccano, I haven't watched Baccano in forever. And when I do finally watch it again after a long time, I enjoy it again, right? But if you watch the same like movie or whatever back to back, you know, it's gonna lose some of that luster. But you give it time and it comes back. Actually, some stuff I end up liking more, right? Like you just kind of appreciate it more, and you there's something really like nostalgic about it mixed with it being good in the first place. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, man, I love it to death. I'm very happy to be playing it again. Although I'll be glad to get through the early game. The early game is kind of whatever. It's just not hard enough. Did I not get the? I think I got the bone. That's what it was. Man, Elden Ring, Limgrave was the best. One of the best experiences I've had in gaming. I don't say that lightly. I do not. I like Mech Warrior, man. Armored Core for Answer. Like I can think of so many experiences that are just incredible. But I don't know if Elden Ring at the start was like my favorite game ever, but it was very unique. It was among some of my favorite experiences I've had, and it was a very unique experience. Like what I got out of like doing Limgrave, you know, when I first get into it, and all that. The DLC was not that great to me. I'll get into that in a minute. By that point, Elden Ring had kind of lost its luster. But the initial experience of Elden Ring really was something special that I really like. So here's my issue with the DLC, and this is hard to argue with. It just loses its specialness pretty quick. So for example, one of the last areas I figured out how to get to, because I didn't look shit up, I was just doing it like as legit as I could. One of the later areas I discovered was the madness area, the manor, right? Now, aesthetically, awesome area. Very hidden. I was like, man, this is cool. I get that spooky ass atmosphere. Very different than what you typically get in these games, right? I'm like, and I love madness, right? I love the Frenzy Flame ending. That's like my jam. So I'm like, oh man, this is interesting. And then it's just rats. A lot of rats. And then you finally get into the manor itself, and it's like, okay, here we go. And it's just the same copy-pasted horn scent mobs that you fought the entire game, right? And that's just an example. The whole DLC is kind of like that, right? The first little hub area, right, in the DLC is pretty good, but then those enemies, those shadow guys, like the shadow just dudes, right, and like the guys with the candles, the Gravebird guys, right? you just fight those enemies for the whole game, right? It gets so old. It's like in like Dark Souls 3, for example, when you discover a new area, it's got a lot of new enemies in it, and that's awesome, right? But in Elden Ring, it's like you find a new area and it's the same old fucking enemies, right? And it's like, I don't give a shit. And it just really loses it's not intriguing anymore, right? Because you start to realize not only is this area I'm in right now just the same shit, I bet you the area I find after it is also just going to be the same shit. There are good things about the DLC, like the weapons are very fun to use in PvP, right? They added a lot of variety there. You know, there's a lot of fun stuff to mess around with, all the new weapon types and stuff. That's great. Rolana, or whatever her name was, the twin sword boss, that was a really cool boss fight. You know, I enjoyed that. But yeah, other than that, I find the DLC was just so repetitive, like just so fucking repetitive. And then like, having played the series since like the beginning, to me, the Elden Ring DLC is like a parody of this itself, right? Because I played Dark Souls 1 in that intricate level design, but it was still pretty logical, and like you could like understand how to get from zone A to point A to point B. The DLC in Elden Ring, it's like, okay, you see that area down there? If you try to use your map to try to logically get there, you're never going to get there, ever. You actually need to go to this random cave way over there that is somehow magically going to get you there. And like how you get to the red flower zone, it's just like, what the fuck, right? Like nothing makes sense. Everything is so obtuse. I think it's the best use of the word obtuse ever is the traversal in that fucking DLC. It is terrible, right? And it's just like, yes, some of the enemies are kind of fun to fight. Some of the weapons are cool. The armor's cool. You know, some of the NPC, like Ansbach is the GOAT, right? I love him to death. What a great quest line. One of the best quest lines they've ever made. But God, I hate that shit. Because here's the thing: if you like exploring, you know, you want the exploring to feel like exploring, not that, hey, I just found a random cave way on the left of the map that actually gets me to way on the right on the map for no fucking reason. That is not good exploring, right? I think that's just, it's super shit. And the bosses are just kind of, I find Elden Ring, for the most part, and I think Night Rain is much better about this, and I really like this about the new Night Rain bosses. Elden Ring is really big on, they figured out how players play these games, and they're trying to counter that by like strong arming it. They're not countering it with like actually interesting enemy design. They're like, okay, players like to roll at these times, so we're just going to give the boss bullshit frame data that will just magically prevent that from working. The animation won't make any fucking sense. This isn't going to be fair, but it's going to happen, right? There's just like a lot of shit the bosses do that it's like if you haven't played a lot of fighting games, this won't make sense. But like fighting games back in the day, they'd have these boss only characters, right? So fighting games like the 2D ones, you versus them, right? Just back and forth, that's it. And they would be AI only characters, right? Like you could not play as them. Like when you're fighting your friends one-on-one, no one could play as them. And they were just cheap, right? They would have like the frame data, right? Like on what their attacks would be were bullshit, right? Like they would have like 1-frame startups, dragon punch, iframe bullshit, just nonsense, right? Like they just apps, and they would input read you, right? So they would know that you're doing an attack right now, so they can just start up their dragon punch or whatever the fuck, and just fuck you, right? It's just horrible, right? Absolutely horrible. And Elden Ring uses that exact logic. Now, it's not as bad because it's a 3D game, so it's harder for them to be like that cheap, right? It's hard for them to be like that bullshit, but they try. And so Elden Ring just to be hard. Elden Ring is trying so hard. It's like, okay, you guys, because Dark Souls 1 was really hard for people because no one knew how the game worked. Right, we literally didn't know. Right, we didn't know you had iframes when you dodged. Right, there's just all these things you had to learn that weren't staples yet. Right, but then once people mastered that, Dark Souls isn't hard anymore. Right, and then as the games come out, Dark Souls 3, because they know that we kind of know how to play, they elevated everything. Right, things a bit faster, quicker, a bit snappier. Right, and there are some, there's some like bullshit frame data in Dark Souls 3. There's not like loads, but there is some bullshit frame data on bosses. But for the most part, it's fine. Elden Ring is like, okay, now they've gotten really good at these games because of Dark Souls 3. But we got this reputation of being so hard, and you got to do the bosses over and over again, and blah 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 blah. And there's just if you made more of the same of Dark Souls 3, people had gotten so good at it that if the boss is fair, they're going to murder it, right? Like they're going to just absolutely shit on it. So the way you fix that and make it hard again is the boss isn't fair, right? That's the whole thing in Elden Ring, is the bosses are not fair. They have so much like unfair frame data, and you have to memorize the living shit out of them, right? Dark Souls 3, I stand by this. If you were really good at Dark Souls 1, like really good at it, and you jump into Dark Souls 3, you have a decent chance at beating a lot of the bosses in one try. Not because the bosses are easy, it's because you're good at the game now, right? You figured this shit out. A good example is like a game I really like is Ninja Gaiden Black, right? And you got games like Devil May Cry and stuff. So let's say they made a DLC for Devil May Cry 3 right now, which is crazy because it's such an old game. But let's say they did it, and it was in the spirit of how that game, is designed. Even though it's brand new bosses and everything, because there's people that have been playing Devil May Cry for like 20 fucking years, right? No matter if you make the bosses like in the spirit of what they were originally, they will beat every single boss first try, and they'll style on it like you wouldn't believe, right? And Souls games are like that too, right? The players are just so fucking good at these games. We played them so fucking much. If the bosses are fair, we are going to eat them alive, right? Now new players won't, right? Obviously new players won't, but the veterans will. And so how they try to make the bosses hard for veterans is the bosses are just unfair. They're just straight up unfair. You are going to have to play them a bunch of times to memorize the shit. Ain't nobody beating Consort Radahn first try if they're not like over leveled and all that bullshit, right? If you're like a reasonable level relative to Radahn, nobody was doing that shit in one try. You could be god at the game, your ass is getting destroyed because the boss just does so much cheap bullshit that you could not possibly react to properly the first time, or predict or intuit, right? And I don't like that design. Now some people love that design, right? Some people they're like, yeah, I'm glad that no matter how good I am at this game, it's going to take me a bunch of tries to beat it. But I can like see through, the technical side of it and what's happening like mechanically from the development side. You input reading piece of shit. Anyway, I can see what's happening on the technical side, and I don't care for it at all. So it's like that really hurts my enjoyment of Elden Ring bosses. Now they're not all like that, well, I like how this trash mob is really coming up on me here. Like, I'm having enough. Okay, well that guy's an idiot. I was gonna say I'm having enough trouble with this guy's super inflated stats. Also, this guy really does read the shit out of you. Also, I am older now, and a lot of like Twitch reflex stuff that I could do when I was younger for like something I haven't seen before, I can't do as well anymore. So that doesn't help. And I think there's like a balance, I think it's okay to maybe have a few moves on a boss that are, maybe pushing the envelope a little bit with like the frame data, but you don't want it to be every goddamn attack they do, and you don't want it to be like so consequential that like it just fucking kills you. Because I'll say this, it is an RPG, you're meant to have health, you're meant to heal, right? It's okay that the first time you see an attack, it hits you, right? That's not the end of the world. The problem is when it fucking kills you. The first time you see it. That's an issue. Okay. Audric, my man, there we go. Really outstaying your welcome here. I miss being ass at Souls games. See, that's the thing. That's what they're trying to recapture. Because, like, I remember when I was doing the Undead Berg in Dark Souls 1, and I had no idea what the fuck was happening, and I was using the scientific process to try to get better at the game, right? Like, oh, is it better to block, dodge, parry, back? So what works here? I'm fat rolling and shit. That sciencing the game and improving at it was awesome, right? And by the way, this is why I like Dark Souls 3's narrative. That's what it's about. That is literally what Dark Souls 3 is about. You can't recapture it. You can't. We want to. Humans desperately want to recapture things like that. That magical experience of playing Dark Souls 1, or in your case, Dark Souls 3 for the first time, and you don't understand, and you're confused, and you're sciencing things, and you're trial and erroring, and you're starting to understand what works and what doesn't. Oh, you can mid-roll and all these things, right? That magical experience can't be recaptured. It can't. It's impossible. And Elden Ring is like artificially trying to recapture it. And this is why I appreciate Dark Souls 3 so much, is because it knows, it's so aware that this can't be that experience you had in Dark Souls 1. Right? For the people that, you know, played Dark Souls 1, it can't be that. But it can be something else, right? And the problem I have with Elden Ring is it is desperately trying to mimic that feeling of not understanding and being bad and blah 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 blah, but it's mimicking that by, you're not actually learning new stuff. Your ass is playing Simon Says. The game is forcing you to memorize stuff because the attacks are so unfair that you just have to like memorize it and do the pattern right? That's very different than what Dark Souls 1 was. Yeah, and that's the thing. In order, if these games want to recapture that feeling, you do need a new game instead of Radon again, right? You need a new combat system, right? Because like, although there are massive similarities, for example, between Dark Souls and Ninja Gaiden, they're still fundamentally different combat systems, right? And so if you could have played a lot of Dark Souls and go play Ninja Gaiden Black and get your fucking, you know, face crushed, right? And vice versa, right? Because it's new systems, it's a new meta, you have to approach things very differently. And yeah, that's why I think Sekiro worked for a lot of people, because although it's still Soulsy, like let's not get it twisted, it's still pretty Dark Soulsy. But it's just a new, it's just new systems, right? It's a new thing, and because of that, the bosses in Sekiro don't have to be that cheap, right? They really don't. You know, they can be pretty fair about them because they know you're just having to learn this new experience. And that was the whole I remember when Sekiro came out, everyone was like, oh my god, this game is so hard. It is so much harder than Dark Souls. It's not. It's not at all. It's just different, right? Because you got all these people that play Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and they're like, oh yeah, I know these games. And they go into Sekiro and half their knowledge doesn't transfer, and so they get wrecked again. And then they think the game is really hard. And it's not that it's easy, but it's really not any harder. It's different. And Bloodborne was like that for some people, but only some people. Like to me, Bloodborne wasn't different at all, because I generally, especially in my youngin' days when I was like playing Dark Souls 1 a lot, I didn't use a shield at all because it was really optimal to do so, and it was just better to dodge. And so I never used a goddamn shield, and I was so used to that. So Bloodborne taking the shield away from you, for a lot of people, that was like, oh god, right? What do I do? But for me, I was like, I wasn't using the shield anyway, and this dodge is stronger than the dodge I had before. So the Bloodborne was really not that big of a deal. I like learning. I like both. I like having mastered something and enjoying applying my craft, I guess. That goes for real life, right? I enjoy learning skills in real life and having it on lock and being incredibly good at it. I enjoy that. But I also love, like, I remember when I was younger, I rollerbladed, right? And like rollerblading is pretty hard because, you know, unlike roller skates, you don't really have a safety net there. And I really enjoyed like learning the meta of how to control my body and be good at that. And then later, I learned, I got really good at that, and then I learned like how to bike. I learned how to bike so late in life. Don't question it. Anyway, and it was really fun to learn that. It was just like a different way to use my body and stuff, and I really like that. And video games are very similar to that. But I also like biking now, even though I'm very, very good at biking and shit like that, right? So I like both. And so the thing about Souls is I just want it to be what it is, right? I don't like this because Elden Ring is artificial difficulty. I think through and through it is like exactly that. And a lot of people, they just like it being hard again, so they don't really see the difference. They don't see the difference between playing Ninja Gaiden like they've never played before, or playing Dark Souls for the first time that they've never played before, versus a game just being cheap and being hard because of that, right? They don't really see the difference, I think, for a lot of, not everybody, but I think a lot of people just don't see the difference. And for me, if I want that confusion experience again, I need that from a different game, right? I don't want that from Souls, because for Souls to do it, they have to basically cheat. They have to cheat to give me that experience, and I don't want the game to cheat. That's not fun for me. I think it's so lame. Because I tell you, where I got my best experience recently, the two games I can think of that I played recently that really gave me that good experience again, like I got when I played Dark Souls 1 for the first time, was Armored Core 6. Right, that really gave me that feeling again, because, you know, and then like Plants vs Zombies 1, because I played that game, you know, way after it came out. It took me forever to actually play that game. But like those gave me that great experience again because they were so different and I had to learn everything and that was awesome. And Armored Core definitely works better because like I played Armored Core for Answer and all those games, and Armored Core 6 was still really hard because I mean not really hard, but it was still a very engaging experience. Because Armored Core from the ground up has kind of always mixed things up and made really different stuff, where like Souls hasn't. So it's kind of like if you get really good at martial art, or you get really good at dancing, or you get really good at woodwork, right? I don't need the woodwork to artificially get harder just to be challenging again. It's like, okay, no, I've got woodwork under my belt, and that's okay. I can just enjoy it for that. And Souls are kind of like that. It's like I got it. And where Elden Ring, it's kind of like I really am good at these games. I understand, you know, what's going on under the hood. And then Elden Ring will kill me because it's just doing some cheap bullshit, right? That's not satisfying to me. Where Armored Core 6 could be hard without doing that cheap bullshit, and so that's satisfying to me. I recommend Armored Core. It's amazing. I think Armored Core is an amazing series. You could definitely start with 6. 6 is the most like approachable, I guess. It's not even because it's easy or anything. It's just like, you know, FromSoft has kind of figured out the right balance of obtuse storytelling and direct storytelling and all that kind of stuff. Because like Armored Core for Answer and Armored Core 4, they're like Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls, where they're just obtuse as hell. So yeah, I really recommend Armored Core 6. It's a great game. I think it's so different than Souls. Although it does, there are plenty of carryovers of like, you know, not mashing buttons and paying attention and all that, but boy, it is very different. But I highly, highly, highly recommend Armored Core 6. Great game. Yeah, Sigma is the version of Ninja Gaiden that most people have played because it's the one that was like preserved the most, which is unfortunate because I think Sigma is worse than Black in pretty much every way. I mean, there's a few exceptions to that. There are some good things about Sigma. Yeah, they fucked that game up quite a bit. Not to be fair, Ninja Gaiden Black has a lot of problems because a very old game. Bad camera, some really, really weird level progression and stuff. I'll be so curious with Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out. Like, what kind of game is it going to be? Is it going to be like Ninja Gaiden Black, or it's going to be more like Ninja Gaiden 2 or 3? Like, I hope it's good. Hard to say though. Unfortunately, I have found Elden Ring has, ever since it came out, has been like a blight on the action game genre, because that like cheap design philosophy I've been talking about with like the boss frame data being so absolutely ridiculous, that has been bleeding into other games like mad, because other games want to, oh man, look how much people like Elden Ring, and Elden Ring does this, so we should do this. It's crazy. I remember a lot of the action games before Elden Ring were not like that. They were a lot more like Dark Souls 3 in terms of like the animations and stuff. And then Elden Ring came out, and God, even like Tales of Arise had the same kind of logic as Elden Ring and stuff. And I hate it. Oh my God, I hate it. Yep, exactly what Law said. That's exactly how I feel. I feel that way about so many things. Like, I love and hate Elden Ring. Like, I have so much, I have so much love for it. It's insane, and I have so much hate for it. But the story's great. I love the universe and the lore and the characters. Love it. Great, like, companion to Dark Souls. It's like this, a lot of the like intrigue and stuff to learn that I love, but it's totally different. Great. I love a lot of the aesthetic of the game. Love the weapons. You know, jump attacks feel good. Crouch attacks feel. Weapon arts feel good. Right, Night Rain's evolved it even more with the skills and the ults. Great, love it. So some of the bosses are great. The freedom is awesome. The build variety is awesome. Right, just so fucking awesome. But oh my God, the core design philosophy with all like that cheap frame data bullshit is just the worst fucking thing I have ever had to experience in this fucking franchise. And then like the exploration being so fucking obtuse now. It's like, instead of having that masterful exploration that you had in Dark Souls 1, now we're just doing like crazy obtuse shit to be like, oh wow, look how crazy it is how you get over here. Look how interconnected it all is. It's just a parody of itself, and that has just affected the industry, I think, in a really negative way. And it is funny though, there are a few things in Dark Souls 3 that I see as like prototype Elden Ring stuff. Thankfully it's not like too extreme, but like half of Gale's moveset, I would say, is like an Elden Ring moveset. Now, because it's only part of his moveset, it's not like that big of a deal. But like you can kind of see, oh my god. You can kind of see where it came from. And like, look, that fucking leap attack, right? Like, even on this guy is not as bad as like some Elden Ring stuff, but you can kind of see some Elden Ring design with this guy. And like Pontiff, I love Pontiff, but Pontiff, it does have a couple of attacks, like follow-up attacks after the first swing that are kind of just bullshit. What do you think about Night Rain? I mean, like Elden Ring, I half love it and I half hate it. Although I definitely like it more. Overall, I like Night Rain more than Elden Ring. Just because, like, every time I play Elden Ring now, it's like, oh my god, I have to go get the cracked pots. Why do I have to get the cracked pots? In Dark Souls, I can just buy the fire bombs and use them. Why do I have to get cracked pots? It's just a waste of time. I have to get the crimson tears. I have to get the golden seeds. I have to get the hefty craft pots. I have to, like, oh my god, I don't want to deal with any of that, right? Like Dark Souls 3, you can just jump in and play linearly and it's great. Right, and the Night Rain, you just don't have to deal with that shit. And the new bosses in Night Rain feel way more like Dark Souls 3 bosses. Now they're souped up to 11, but like the attack animations, and I wonder how you feel about this, especially because you're younger than me and you probably have way better reflexes than me. I felt like 90% of the movesets in Night Rain of the bosses, you could logically react to and intuit. Right, I think the first time the Centaur boss did his leap attack, I dodged it. Right, where if it was Elden Ring, that Centaur leap attack, he would like hang in the air for a second, and then he'd come down like a laser with no travel time, like just boom. Right, where instead he leaped in the air, and when he comes crashing down, there's a little bit of travel time on it, so it like makes logical sense, right? And I felt like I felt like Night Rain's bosses, they were very much like that. They were like Dark Souls 3, where there's a lot going on, they're fast, and they're coming at you, but the frame data made sense, and it was pretty reasonable. And they made the difficulty better in Night Rain than in Dark Souls 3, instead of by being cheap, like Elden Ring. They did it by just throwing a lot at you. That Centaur guy is like dashing across the screen like Sonic, and you need to adjust your camera or your lock on very quickly to be able to dodge it. But if you do adjust your camera correctly and you can see him coming, he travels enough that you can react to it. You don't have to like memorize it and like muscle memory it. You can just react to it. And the ground is glowing, so you can tell it's gonna blow up, and you can react to it, right? And I find Night Rain is just like that. Because yeah, I've soloed most of the bosses in Night Rain, and it feels good. It's hard, but it's good, right? It's like it feels so different than Elden Ring, and because I know this because I played Elden Ring and I fought like Radahn for the first time. I fought Mesmir for the first time. They felt like ass. It wasn't fun fighting Mesmir for the first time because it was just memorizing all this like weird, like obtuse bullshit that he does, and I just have to like memorize these arbitrary ass timings to dodge. Where when I'm fighting like Gaping Jaw for the first time, or the Centaur for the first time, or the Dragon for the first time, most of their moveset, it's like I can kind of intuit, but I still need to I really need to play good. Like it was so the first time I soloed Gaping Jaw, that was so intense. It's like heart pounding. Where when I'm fighting the boss, soloing the bosses in Elden Ring, it's just annoying. I'm just like I'm pissed the entire time. I have infinitely enjoyed Night Rain bosses more than Elden Ring. The problem, the reason I'm not just 100% on Team Night Rain is that they just were kind of cowards with it. I don't think they gave the lead dev enough budget, right? So they didn't make enough Night Lords. They didn't use enough enemies from... Because here's the thing. A lot of the stuff I don't like in Elden Ring it's much better in the context of Night Rain because... solo or co-op, you have a lot more ways of dealing with it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still like cheap Elden Ring bullshit like I don't like with the bullshit frame data, but because like when you're in co-op, it's way more about like positioning and working with your teammates and stuff. So one enemy having insane frame data is not that big of a deal. But I'll give you an example. Royal Revenant still sucks, especially when I'm soloing. If I'm playing solo in Night Rain, the fucking bullshit Royal Revenant nonsense is still awful, and I still hate it, right? And that's still annoying. But yeah, there's not Night Rain. It was too cowardly. We need more. Like, I want Pontiff back, right? I want Demon Princes back, right? And this is one problem they're gonna have, and this is very hard to fix. So, Demon Princes, for example, in order for that fight to really be what it was in Dark Souls 3 and to just be such a good boss fight, you know, it's gotta take a minute, right? And so then you can't use that as a field boss, right? There's like Frida, right? You can't use Frida as a field boss, because if you inject the time limit, it's just gonna run everything, right? So there's a lot of bosses that are very hard to reuse because of that. You can reuse them as a day 1, day 2 boss and things like that, but it is kind of limiting. Yeah, close call. Yeah, that's what I like about the Dark Souls 3 design, which as far as I understand, the lead dev of Night Rain was one of the main combat designers of Dark Souls 3. And if that's the case, it's not very surprising to me, because I felt like how I felt like when I played Dark Souls 3 in Night Rain. That, like, close calls, but it's beatable. It's like the first time I fight a boss, I don't feel like it's impossible. The first time I fought Radahn, I was like, yeah, this is impossible. It's literally, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to lose. And I much prefer this, like, Dark Souls 3 style in Night Rain. And it was such a breath of fresh air. It was so nice to play a new game, new bosses that I don't know, and have it feel like it's not complete bullshit, right? I really like the Night Rain bosses. But there's just aspects of Night Rain that are kind of frustrating. There's not enough variety, right? Like, the nodes, like, you got the one map, and then the different nodes that can spawn, right? Like the fire camp or the magic camp. There's not enough. There's just not enough. There needs to be way more of those, and just a bit more variety. And what's weird is there's a bunch of enemies in just Elden Ring that they're not using. There's no camp where you fight the snake guys, the Volcano Manor guys, all that stuff. Now that never happened, right? There's just a bunch of, like, stuff. You never fight the Clear-Rot Knights, right? There's none of that shit. There's so many things that are, like, barely used. There's like no remembrance bosses, right? No Malekith and all that kind of stuff. There's just it's the replayability. It's weird because Night Rain should be like the highest replayability of all the games, but it weirdly has, like, kind of low replayability. Yeah, I feel like they were afraid of, like, bringing enemies back and stuff like that. So we'll see how they update it. I think Night Rain has so much potential, right? If they put out some patches, like they're adding a hard mode, which I'm really excited for, because when I play with randoms or solo, the difficulty feels pretty good. But when I play with my friends, it's too easy, right? Like, and as time goes on, randoms will get better, right? Because the normies quit and go play something else and shit like that. So as the player base gets, because you can see that with, like, the Steam achievements, like, it's starting to get, like, higher. Yeah, when I play with my friends, the game's too easy. So the hard mode is coming, right? And they said soon, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I want more. Yeah, I know Lothric. That blue Lothric Knight kind of just convinced me, because people were like, "Oh, Lothric Knights, you know, won't age well because the Lindell Knights are them but better." But no, that blue Lothric Knight was way harder than Lindell Knights. And you could spruce them up a little bit, right? Like, but you can, like, adding like one animation per enemy, and you can design that animation to maybe cover a big flaw, like if they're too easy to backstab or whatever. That's not too much work, and I think that's reasonable, I think. But I think Night Rain's potential is so good. It's just right now it's not living up to it. It kind of reminds me of Risk of Rain 2 when, like, day 1. Good game, but holy fuck, it became so much better. Cause that's, you know, also a roguelike, and it became so much better with, like, patches. I'm just worried that FromSoft won't have the balls to do that. And that's why I love indie devs, man. You've got games like Risk of Rain that would just get updated and updated and updated, and, like, the devs are just so passionate. And the thing is that passion translated to, like, people, like, hyping the game up, and then, you know, it getting more sales. And just, like, there's so many indie devs that will just, like, support their game so fucking much, right? I cannot believe that hit me. I did not even try to dodge that. But yeah, I think Night Rain needs that. I think Night Rain needs that level of, like, dedication to clean it up, because it needs a lot. You're not fixing that game in one patch, right? They need to add a lot more bosses from Elden Ring and Dark Souls and stuff, and they need way better nodes. And they need, the main thing is they need more interesting nodes, right? Because there's a lot more to like what makes something interesting than just the enemies, right? It's like the level layout, right? Those little castles and stuff, you know, they're fun, but there's not enough of them. I do think they're passionate, but I don't think FromSoft is like, they're on a tight leash with like budget and team, and FromSoft is working on other games. So I feel like Miyazaki's gonna be like, okay, now go work on Elden Ring 2 or whatever. So I don't know how much, because like Risk of Rain, because it was a you know, a very small team, they're allowed to be passionate, right? So they could do things that were conventionally maybe not industry stand. Like the amount of support that Risk of Rain 2 got with the original developers was so much greater than what games generally get. And because of that, the game became way better than games generally get. Like in terms of like design philosophy and like content and everything, Risk of Rain 2 is designed infinitely better than the Night Rain. It's so much better designed. And they got that way through like the effort, right? But for larger developers, it's very hard for them to do that. They're not going to let them have their passion project that they just keep working on. It just doesn't work out that way. And the thing is, it's a risk to let a dev keep working on a game like that. But indie devs like have to take that risk, and it pays off sometimes, right? And it can pay off big. And I think Night Rain has that potential to pay off really big. Like if they keep it going, and it gets a good reputation, and it becomes kind of a pseudo live service game, you know, kind of like how Risk of Rain 2 was. You know, it doesn't have a season pass, it doesn't do any of that kind of bullshit, but like, you know, it's getting updates, and occasionally there's DLC. Because Risk of Rain found such a good balance of like adding new stuff for free and then occasionally adding stuff for money, right? Because you gave out so much stuff for free, and like that BlazBlue roguelike does the same thing. They'll add new characters and new bosses every once in a while for free, so then when they do be like, okay, this character's, you know, paid DLC, people are okay with it. I think Night Rain could do the same thing, right? You add a lot of shit for free, it needs to add loads of shit for free, but then you start adding, you know, stuff. Okay, here's like a costume pack, right? Or here's a new character that you can buy for $5, right? That's a good way to keep the game running without doing a bunch of like microtransaction bullshit to the point, or not even microtransaction bullshit, like a Gacha game bullshit. You know, you can avoid all that live servicey, you know, nonsense people don't like. Yeah, No Man's Sky, I gotta say, is impressive because that game came out as absolute dog shit. Yeah, that is the comeback story. That really impressed me because it was so bad. It was such a bad like bait and switch with the marketing and everything at first. There's been a few other ones though that have really cleaned that. I want Night Rain to be that though. I want because it's a better foundation than those games were. And I think the potential is just so there. I'm just so worried that Miyazaki is just gonna be like, okay, you know, this worked out pretty well. Good job, guys. You know, you sold like 4 million copies, you know, for a pretty low budget. Good job. Okay, now go work on Dragon Souls. And I'm like, sure, I want Dragon Souls. I want Dark Souls 4 or Elden Ring 2 or whatever. I want those things, sure. But FromSoft is large enough now and successful enough now that they can have their like indie style passion projects like Night Rain, and have their A team working on you know, the big thing, right? So like I just want them to let them run with Night Rain. And then when they're happy with it, and when it's, you know, sold even more and all that stuff, let them make Night Rain 2 or whatever that they want to do. And it doesn't have to be Night Rain 2. It could be, you know, some, you know, the Dark Souls equivalent to Demon Souls, but it's the spiritual successor to Night Rain, right? That's fine. Yeah, I would really like Armored Core to come to PC. I mean, Armored Core 6 is, but if we could get 4 Answer, that would be great. Okay, come on, ladies. You can just skip them, but I want to beat them. Get down here. Come on. Somebody jump down. Projectiles are gonna make things a little spicy. I have got to stop getting hit by that. It's because it looks so similar to the other moves. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, add stuff from the old games, go crazy. And you reuse assets as much as you fucking want. Like, holy fuck, if you need to use like Dark Souls 3 stuff and just update the textures to make like more interesting nodes, do it. I don't like those warped earth events, right? Like the volcano and all that. Make a mini Lothric castle. Right? Fuck yeah, like and do that shit. Because that like kills two birds with one stone, right? You get a new variety. You get and you put like twin princes at the end or whatever, and then that way the map's not so repetitive, and it also like is a good environment to use some of the old bosses in, right? So like that'd be awesome. Like the node system is really good if you just have enough nodes. That's the thing. So like that's why like the groundwork, the foundation is good, but like it's like a beta right now, right? Like it needs more. So I will say, I wish they had updated Gaping Dragon's moveset more. They updated it a bit, and you know, he's got the poison spewing out everywhere and stuff. But I wish he had gotten some like, you know, like leg slams and like strikes that just had like fun timings and you know, were just like fun to dodge and stuff. That'd be nice. They were kind of gun shy about that one. And then like Centipede Demon, they added the body parts that get separated, which helps them out. The problem is you can just not attack those body parts. So, you know, stuff like that, they didn't really go far enough. Yeah, I downloaded the Vandictus demo too. You can hit play and you can hear the title screen music and everything, but yeah, the server's not up or whatever, so you can't play it. But very excited for that. I love Vandictus, man. Like the old school Vandictus it's a lot of what I like about like Dark Souls 3 and stuff, but in a lot of ways better from I think from a PvE standpoint. So never mind lore, never mind PvP, but just a you versus boss. I think old school Vandictus is kind of like peak as fuck for this kind of game design, and the new Vandictus game coming out seems to be living up to that pretty well. So yeah, it was cool to see them again. You got Smelter Demon and Dancer were probably the most oh shit moments for me, because they weren't in the trailers, and their movesets have, you know, stay decently relevant. I finally got to solo Dancer, and that was really fun. Like she was still pretty good. Yeah, that was nice. Okay, God, I hate Undead Settlement. It's the longest zone in all of Dark Souls 3. There's so much to fucking do here. I don't think any other zone is even close in how long it is. Yeah, Dancer is in, she is in, but she's, rare. She's just really rare in my experience. But she looks amazing with the new particle effects. That really, works. And I think they made her more aggressive. I want to fight her in this, right, in normal Dark Souls 3, because I'll be able to tell, better. I'm not fighting her tonight, though, because it's 2 a.m. and I'm too tired for that shit. They definitely updated Nameless a bit. Like his airstrike now is like AoE, so that definitely helps. And I think he's more aggressive. I might be crazy, and I haven't fought him in so long in Dark Souls 3, but he definitely felt more aggressive to me. But just that putting that pressure on, you know, makes it more reasonable because the Elden Ring characters are stronger. So I do feel like Dancer and Nameless King don't have enough health though, and I've noticed day 2 bosses are kind of like that in general, and it's because they're kind of like, well, what if they're having a bad run? Right, but the flip side is, what if they're having a good run? So yeah, most of the day 2 bosses don't feel like they have enough health. They hit hard enough. They certainly hit hard enough, but they do generally melt kind of fast. Where like the night bosses don't have that problem, and the day 1 bosses don't generally have that problem. Yeah, they're aggro as fuck because of co-op. I don't know if throwing knives work here. They don't seem to. Do I have a bow? Okay. Do I have any bolts? Yes. Fuck, that's not how you aim. I'm thinking Elden Ring. Crossbows are so cracked in Dark Souls 3. They're still pretty good in Elden Ring, but my god, they're good in Dark Souls 3. Like, you put a straight sword in your main hand and a crossbow in your offhand. That shit is nasty. You get explosive bolts. I am definitely worse at this game than I used to be, but I'm also tired. That's part of it. But holy fuck, I'm getting hit a lot. Yeah, the enemies need to be more aggressive in multiplayer because while they're attacking player A, player B and C can beat the shit out of them. So they need to get to their next action as fast as possible, right? So that's why like Margit is basically non-stop attacking. And that's the correct decision in my opinion. I think the game is better because of that. However, solo sometimes it's like, oh my god. You can get around that by just roguelike stuff, but and you got your ultimate. And that's the thing, you have your ultimate and your skill. That really helps deal with some of the increased difficulty stuff. It has been hilarious though, watching like content creators like Asmongold and stuff like that. No offense to these people, but a lot of the times they don't beat the games by getting good at them. They beat the games by using overpowered builds and farming and that kind of. And that's fine if you want to get through the games that way. There's no problem. But it's really funny because in Night Rain you can't do that. Like, it was hilarious watching streamers play Night Rain those first few days because like you can't over prepare. You can't really use an OP build for like the queen, the demi-human queen and the katana guy. You just have to get good at it. You just have to have good game fundamentals. There's no way around it. And it was hilarious watching all these streamers who don't have good game fundamentals at all. It was hilarious watching them have no exit strategy, right? They could not deal with these bosses. And it was really funny in the early days. Unfortunately, Night Rain is easier now because most of the people still playing it are now experienced players. But when they would play with randoms to try to like carry them, the randoms were just as bad as they were. And so they were just getting absolutely shit on. And that's why for like the first week or two, if you look at the win rate percentages on the like the achievements for like how many people had the achievement to beat each Night Lord, they were so low. It was unbelievable how low they were. Yeah, I'm streaming late right now. It is nice to be able to talk to the VOD people. I do apologize. I'm going to bed soon though because I'm tired as fuck. But I'll try to keep going for a minute here. I need hold on. I need to just get to the front part of Undead Settlement here. I remember when I would make PvP characters, I knew exactly how to get everything important from this place incredibly quickly. I still kind of do. I'm just not even trying to do it optimally because I'm kind of just chilling. Boy, though, I am excited for Vandictus tomorrow. We'll see. Because when I played the pre-alpha, like after Elden Ring, right? That was such a breath of fresh air because Elden Ring has that kind of bullshit design I'm not crazy about, where Vandictus doesn't. And oh my god, that was so nice. So I'm excited to see what they've cooked up in this last year or so. It's been over a year since that test, though. I don't watch streams as much as I used to, but I like watching streams if I can find streamers I like. Like, I like to watch Ouroboros for Souls stuff. I love just being able to have the stream up and stuff. Great. I only really watch streams, though, when I find somebody that I like. There's a lot of, no offense to streamers out there, but there's a lot of just, like, whatever the fuck. Yeah, the previous test was good. I mean, it was, you know, not a lot of bosses. It was pretty small, but yeah, I liked it a lot. And now there's more characters, so we'll have plenty to do. Because I tell you, and this is how the original Vandictus was, so I'm glad it's like this now. Playing the bosses as Lon felt incredibly different than fighting the bosses as Fiona. And that's really nice. So I'll be interested to see with the new characters how that'll be. So I wonder if we should invade on this character. I don't know how active Dark Souls 3 is. What I might do next time I stream this is I might like jump on my Cathedral of the Deep character and just do some invasions there and see if it's active. And then after that, then we get back in and we go do some PvE. Are you gonna do Lies of P? I don't know. I know people say Lies of P is really good. And I am curious to see if it has more like Elden Ring boss logic or more Dark Souls 3 boss logic. I'm genuinely curious to know like what kind of game design it has. It's just it doesn't have like, so I like it if you have character creation, or it's like Night Rain or Vindictus where you have preset characters that have a real personality and like, you know, they're their own thing, right? Like that's cool. I don't really like the games where it's just like you play Bob and that's it, right? Because it's like, well, what if you don't like Bob? And like the whole Pinocchio thing, I'm not feeling it. Like mechanically the game might be great, but it doesn't have PvP, right? So big negative for me. And then you have to play Pinocchio and all that. It's just oh my god, Flamberge farming. I did that a lot because when you like, especially for like mid-level PvP, it was really good to have Flamberge as an option, like in your inventory. So I farmed that many times. Base game is on sale. Yeah, I don't know, I'll think about it. We'll see. I just feel like I hate the aesthetic. Doesn't have PvP. And I have a feeling it's going to have more Elden Ring style design. And the only reason I say that, because I haven't watched anyone play it, so I don't know. But the only reason I feel like it's going to have more Elden Ring boss design is because people are saying, oh, it's so hard, it's so hard, it's amazing, it's so hard, it's so hard. And I find when the Souls community says something is so hard, it's actually really cheap. And here's the thing. This is some serious shots fired, and I hate to say this, I wish it wasn't the case. I think Night Rain is the first game that's starting to get away from this. But the core combat system of Demon's Souls, which is what we're using in all of these games, it's not very complicated. It's not. The game is so simplistic, with just attack and dodge. You know, it's so basic that you can't do a lot with the boss design. You really can't. You can only make a few games, I think, in this genre before it's just kind of like you have to rely on cheap bullshit. Because all you have is really rolling, blocking, and attacking at a certain time. You can't get that intricate with the boss design, right? I don't think the bosses are as good as like Ninja Gaiden Black and stuff because the combat system is just a lot simpler, right? Where like the difference between like strong attack and weak attacks in like Ninja Gaiden is just so much more meaningful. And like the reason you do a launch combo and things like that is there's way more going on, right? So there's a lot more you can do with the boss fights. Where the basic Souls-like games, it's just kind of the same shit. It was not a combat system that was designed to be used this long. Now I think Night Rain is a great step in evolving the combat system, right? The super sprint and just insane uniqueness of a character like Recluse and everyone having their ultimates and regular skills and stuff. That's really starting to make it feel more like a Devil May Cry kind of game. All they got to do now really is instead of just having these strings, okay, that's right, Dark Souls 3 doesn't have them, but you got your string, right, of R1s in Elden Ring where the animations change and the final swing is a little different. All they got to do now is make it so that matters, right? It matters that the swing is changing, and then like being able to like tie in your R1s and your R2s and have that actually matter, and then like adding in air juggling. That is horseshit. That is I cannot believe that just killed me. Fucking Dark Souls 3. That's Elden Ring brain right there, though. I was like, yeah, this is nothing. Of course that's not gonna kill me. And then, oh, look what happened. What a bunch of bullshit. But yeah, having a more simplistic combat system in a roguelike is fine. Because like Risk of Rain 2 has a more simplistic combat system if you compare it to like Doom Eternal or something, right? But it's okay because the roguelike stuff makes that work. And yeah, I think Night Rain not only made the combat system a little bit more complicated, a little bit, but then the roguelike elements are a good complement to the whole shtick. So yeah, you don't have, oh boy, almost lost their souls there. That fucking dog. Oh, you piece of shit. Wow. Okay, I didn't need my souls anyway. So I've done that run back many times, and like not killed the enemies. And when I was like in practice, no problem. But that is clearly not the case here. Also, it's 2 a.m. So, you know. Is this Lords of the Fallen? Well, we did fall. I'm really interested in Lords of the Fallen's next game. I'm like, Lords of the Fallen is a good game, like with the 2.0 update and all that. It's a good game, but it still has some limitations. There's not quite enough enemy variety and stuff like that. Like there's a few problems here and there. Oh my god, I didn't even put my souls there. Oh my fucking god. I hate the Undead Settlement. It is so much longer than every other zone. That's one reason I got really meta about it back in the day, because I hated it so much and it was so long. I got crazy optimal about routing it. Now, I know you can jump off the edge back there and survive. You have to do it at a very specific spot, and I don't want to deal with that. Oh, you're going to bed? See you, man. Thanks for hanging out. Kind of neat to talk to, you know, someone that got into Souls at such a different time than I did. Well, you know what's really messes me up is I'm gonna run into people that their first Souls get like 5 years from now. We're gonna be playing like, you know, Dragon Souls or whatever, and there's gonna be a lot of people that got into it with Elden Ring, right? That's gonna be so weird, because Elden Ring's the current game right now, so you don't talk about like the series as a whole as much and that kind of stuff. You're talking about Elden Ring. But yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people where okay, where do I need to go? Let me think. I need to go to the lower area. Okay, you know what? Wait, no, I want to finish this. I want this zone to be over, so next time I play, I don't have to do it. I'm having such a hard time remembering how to get to the part that I want to get to right now, and these mobs are not helping me remember. You know, I realize, chat, a big mistake that I've made is I am using a +0 when I could be using like a +2 raw right now, because I have a raw gem. Like, I could be so much stronger right now. Okay. I think I know what I'm doing. Let's see, I think it's over. Okay, I got it. I got it. My chat always makes fun of me for being old, but you know, what are you gonna do? That's me from Elden Ring is my first FromSoft game. Have you gone back? It's weird because Blue Note, you've been watching me forever. Like, way before I streamed Elden Ring. But have you gone back and played any of the other ones? Nope, is this the right way? Yeah, it is. Okay, I got it. We're almost done. Although I still technically need to join the Covenant, but I don't care. Yeah, but don't say it like that. Bro, how do you think I feel, man? I was still kind of young. I was on like the tail end of still being young when I started streaming and making YouTube videos. I was kind of at the end of being young, but now here we are, like, you know, 8 or 9 years later, whatever it is, and it's like, oh boy. Oh, I'm still doing the DLC. How do you feel about it? Like with the enemy variety and the boss design and whatnot. Oh my, every time I look at chat, I just get mobbed by 10 people. Gentlemen. Wait, this is not where I... Fuck, why can I not remember where to go? Oh, it's the sewers with the rats. God, you know I haven't played this game in a while. Like, I got it. Well, so Cairo is like this. My friend Cairo, you know, I met him when he was in high school, for God's sakes. Right? Cairo is just more mature for his age, right, than a lot of people, right? You know, he was still a teenager back then, but, you know, he was a lot more mature for his age. And when you're like that, you generally will have an easier time talking to adults than you will teenagers. Because a lot of teenagers, you know, have a lot of issues with, like, conflating their emotions with like objectivity, right? And it's fine to have emotions and stuff, that's not a problem, but it's kind of like, oh my god, you're criticizing Elden Ring, but I love Elden Ring, how dare you, right? It's that kind of shit. Or, you know, PlayStation versus Xbox. You know, it's like, they're trying to like define their personality based on things that you can't really define your personality on, right? Like liking Xbox over PlayStation is not a personality trait. But a lot of young people have that problem, and so if you're more mature and all the people your age are acting like that, you're just, you know, not gonna go anywhere. It's 2 a.m. and you have amnesia. That is somewhat true. Yeah, it's easier to like plan out in your head, like, you know, okay, if I go here, it's gonna lead to that and that and that when you're more awake. I'm so glad I know Lost, by the way, even though, like, Lost is a shitter and, you know, will make fun of me all the time, but when Lost isn't, you know, pretending to be a 5-year-old, you know, Lost is an adult, right? And he understands a lot of the, like, eye roll stuff that I go through being an adult as well, right? So, like, when teenagers are being teenagers and just all that kind of shit, he's somebody that, you know, understands. And I went past the thing I was supposed to do. Yeah, Lost is actually more younger than me than I thought. Because he reminded me what his age was recently, and he's actually younger than me more than I thought. Now, he's still, you know, older than most people in chat, absolutely. And we're not, like, that far apart, but I thought we were, like, you know, within a year, but it is more than that. I mean, Lost is still here. He's literally in chat right now. He's not dead. Don't mind me. Where's my crossbow? This is probably the longest it's ever taken me to do Undead Settlement. I think even when I did it for the first time, I don't think it took this long. Oh my god, I just let the stupid thing get away. I'll just get it with a relog. Do you mind? Like, what are you, the skeleton hero? After all the, like, the 80 skeletons stopped following me, you're gonna be the guy to 1v1 me? Like, I like how I just attacked it because I'm used to Elden Ring. And, like, how they res. Yeah, fuck, I didn't realize Lost died and you couldn't talk to him anymore. John's skeleton. Good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out. Okay. Touch a girl's face for some fucking reason. Oh, no, wait, no, never mind. Shoulder, excuse me. I do love the detail that she can become a firekeeper and level you up instead of the regular one. It doesn't even matter much because it's not like you can lose the other one. But that was a really interesting, like, thing to do. Okay, we just have to kill that one lizard, and we are done. And hopefully I don't have to do this zone again for like another 4 years. That would be great. I don't know if I'll wait that long, probably like 2 or 3 years, but like 2 years, that's probably a good amount of time. Let's kill the big boy. When you play good, that guy is already dead because I was up there and I killed him. But we died because we're bad. I forgot that those two moves could chain into each other like that. That's actually really good. Oh, you have blood loss. This guy knows the Elden Ring meta. Okay. Now we just relog. Just grabbing her face like anime villains. Yeah, I thought you did touch her face, but I just forgot, I guess. Okay, we have done everything here, and we have the bonfire for the next zone. I guess we still have to beat the boss, but that's no problem. Do that later. That was horrible. Thankfully, like, I really do think Undead Element is such a drag. I think it really hurts Dark Souls 3 because it's so long, and it hurts the pacing of, like, fighting bosses and everything. It really does suck. There's technically one thing I didn't do, and that's joining the Covenant, but I don't care. Fuck it. All right, boys, it is late as hell. I will see you guys tomorrow. Vandictus should be a thing tomorrow, so we will definitely stream that. We might stream a little Dark Souls 3 before it, though. Super excited for that. It's so funny. My VOD brain made these people like characters, and it feels weird being here. I'll try to stream late. Boy, that must be so unique. I just muted my mic while I was talking to you. I don't know why I did that. I'm way too tired. Anyway, it must be strange, like watching VODs and like seeing the inside jokes, right? Like you know what these fuckers, you know, do, right? You know what these guys are about here, these animals. But yeah, I'll have to do a late night stream every once in a while, so people can, and I need to do early streams more often too. But anyways, I'm out of here, boys. I will see you all tomorrow. I am so excited for Vandictus. I love that game series so much, and they really look like they're living up to the legend. I think they're really honoring what that game was about back in the day, so looking good. All right, we will raid Cairo, and I will see you all tomorrow. Make sure to drink water.